like ready? Like, do you feel prepared?
I mean, I think at this point I'm already kind of thinking.
Happy birthday!
Wait, I didn't even know this one yet. Happy birthday!
Oh shit!
Oh, good, it didn't make a mess.
25.
25.
Congrats!
Congratulations! Look at us. I've got confetti
I was
everywhere.
trying to get that off for like a long time, and it just
Oh my god!
it like surprised me. I like jumped back and
Yeah.
happy birthday,
Happy
Becky.
birthday, Ben.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Let's get some champagne going here.
Okay.
Welcome to TOTs podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
that was probably the
too much.
most. It's very foamy. That was probably the
that's
most.
how you're supposed to pour it.
True. That was the most exciting start to
Yeah,
the
it better
podcast.
be.
I think that's happened so far.
Ooh, it better be.
So you like
Baby.
drastically
Oh my gosh.
underpoured me. Don't hit the mic.
I'm sorry.
For all
Maybe-
those listening
okay.
at home, you should really watch the YouTube for this
45-degree angle.
because
Look at
it's going to
that.
be much better if you watch.
That is so much better of a
That's
pour.
great. There you go.
There we go. Yes, do watch it on YouTube
My
because
hand's like shaking. You
I know,
see
me
that?
too. Mine is as well.
That was like a little scary.
Um,
Anyways,
It's going to be a very visual episode, so
what does that mean?
we have so many effects.
We do have a lot of effects. We have nice birthday tiaras on and our pins, and
Little
we have
pins.
banners and a
Pinata.
A pinata, not officially licensed.
Yes.
Hey,
Hey.
cheers to you.
Cheers.
Happy 25th
Happy
birthday.
25th birthday.
We're 25.
Yay. Amazing. Oh, that was
pretty
actually
good.
really good.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like it's got
It's
this
dry.
nice like warm to it, you know?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I like the warm. It's
Mhm.
nice.
This is one of my favorite brands from the ships. We have this on the ship.
I'm trying to look at it without saying
It's-
the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good brand.
It's a good brand.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm excited that you're here. We were saying before this that I don't know how much of the first part we're going to include, but we were saying before this that you've always been a huge supporter of the podcast, but you've never been on, and it's sad. You know
Well,
what? You should have been on sooner.
I don't think I was on early on. Okay.
That's true.
I
You were
was
on for
on
my
your
TikTok
TikTok
episode.
episode. A little like 5-minute cameo.
Yes.
But I've always also, you're such a project person, and I've helped you out with a lot of the projects that you started and have
Oh, yeah.
continued. Some of them are no longer things, and some of them are.
Varying
and
degrees
so-
of success and failure across the years.
So, I'm just happy to be a part of it. I don't need to be in the spotlight, but I'm happy that you thought it would be okay to have me on.
Absolutely. And for the birthday podcast,
Yeah,
no
of
less.
course.
This is exciting.
Well,
The idea is we have a good time today, and then
Mm-hmm.
we end up doing this once a year.
oh, that would be nice.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah. Because I'm a logical person, in case anyone's curious, this podcast should be coming out in between our 2 birthdays. You're
Yes.
born before I was, but we're both January babies.
Yes, your birthday is on.
The 23rd.
Yep, and my
And yours
birthday is on the 10th.
The 10th.
And that was definitely not a ploy to find out when Becky's birthday is, because I don't forget people's birthdays.
No, definitely not. You'd never forget.
I've never forgotten your birthday.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, we have cake.
We do have
Let's
cake.
have some cake.
There's confetti
you
in the
grab
cake
the-
now. Yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm fucking this up already.
Don't say words like that.
Don't say word like the F word.
Yeah.
My grandparents are listening right now, actually.
Yeah,
should
so
mention that.
watch your mouth.
Gran and Poppy, I'm sorry.
Oh
I
my
do
gosh, wait, give me
apologize.
plates. I'm just like
Yeah,
watching
get the
it
plates
put it-
going.
Okay.
So 25.
Yeah. Quarter
wanna
life
hear
crisis,
how-
here we come.
Okay, so I want to hear how you feel about it, but first, I did have a quarter life crisis like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was weird. Because, like, I don't really care about many things. And then
Yeah.
I started talking to Lauren, my wonderful girlfriend, and
Yes.
some other people, and I was like, oh, I'm turning 25.
Mhm.
This is weird. And it doesn't really sit right with me just yet. But how
Well-
do you feel about it?
I had someone say this to me because I said this the other week, or a couple weeks ago. I said, I'm turning 25 in January, and they were like, and I said something about the middle or quarter life crisis, and they were like, no. like, you should have already had your quarter life crisis because no one lives to be 100. And I was like, oh, okay.
And then immediately the downward spiral began.
Well, no, and then in that case, I actually think that I did technically, if you want to say like 80 or 90, so roughly like 20 to 22, definitely had a quarter life crisis then, because that was the end of college, and you're like, what the heck am I going to do with my life? Like, who am I as a person?
We had a terrible end of college, too.
Oh, yeah, we could talk about
so
that.
bad.
But as of right now, I'm not really having a quarter life crisis. I think I'm like, okay. Like, I don't love the path that I'm on, but I think it makes sense. Do you want to have it tonight, like on the podcast? Or?
No,
I'm good. Thank you very much.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure. I told you we're staying away from topics that are going to make me cry. That would make me cry.
True. Becky, what do you want to do with your life?
No, stop. Can I have some cake first, please?
Yeah, have your cake. I'll
Here,
do some.
Cheers me on the cake.
Yeah, let's do that. And then I'll do some talking so you can eat.
Okay.
Can I get the fucking...
Oh, you got a really pretty piece. Cheers.
Well, it's nice from the cameras.
Okay.
Look it up.
Oh, it's okay.
It's good. It's good cake.
I wanted a cupcake.
Yeah, but like, I don't care what you think.
Okay. Well, then.
That's why I invited you on my podcast.
Because you don't care what I think.
Yeah, I wanted to talk at you instead of talking with you. Anyways.
You do so much interviewing, you just wanted to feel like you could be interviewed.
I needed an episode for me.
Someone, well, as a fellow podcaster, I could definitely do that for you.
As if I don't talk over my guests already. That's just like, that's half of what I just do. Is like, all right, I like that you're telling a cool story, but you've been telling it for, 8 or 9 minutes. It's time to go.
Shut up.
Yeah. Definitely gotten better at that
but...
over the years. No, full offense. Full offense. Full gluten, full offense.
I try to help you, and you just
I don't want
swat the help out of the air. You're just like, no.
I like the controversy. It's more fun.
Okay.
We were talking today. I haven't gotten in trouble for anything in a while, and I was remembering with Becky that a lot of my first episodes of the podcast were coming out right as COVID was hitting for the first time, and I distinctly remember having probably the worst COVID take of anyone, and I was like, this is media hype, it's not a real virus, whatever. And then subsequently, like 2 months later, doing an entire COVID episode about, oh, it is real, oh, people are dying, and yeah, haven't taken down the bad takes. You got to keep those up.
But to be fair to you, like, you mentioned this already a little bit, but that was like the absolute worst case scenario for us, because we were in the middle of spring break when we were sent home.
So bad.
Also, we were actually going home already, so it didn't really matter. But I remember that day so vividly because I was driving you and someone else to the airport.
You could say their name. That's okay.
No, I don't want to. It's fine.
Me and my ex-girlfriend. It's okay.
Yes, your ex-girlfriend.
You can say that. That's allowed.
I love dearly, so I didn't want to say.
She's a good person.
She's a wonderful person.
No bad blood.
Yeah. But I was driving you guys to the airport, and we were getting news from all of our friends at other schools that they're not going back. They're having an extended spring break. And we still hadn't heard anything from our college. And it's like really, really dark overhead. It literally felt like the apocalypse. And I had just dropped two of our other friends off in DC. And I was driving you guys to BWI. And I dropped you off. I gave you guys hugs. And then I was like, okay, I'll see you guys in like a week. And then I drove away, and that was literally the minute I drove away was the moment that my phone went off with the notification that we're not coming back for like 2 weeks. And I was like, oh my gosh.
No. Wait, you drove us to, this is not an important part of it, but you drove us to BWI?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you guys were getting on a flight to go on a vacation. She was going somewhere else, somewhere different than you, but you guys were both going.
I was going to Maine.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's why we were cutting it halfway, because everyone had stuff to do on the second half of the week.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. So that was not a good week. And then subsequently I went to Maine to go skiing.
Yeah.
And there was no snow.
Yeah.
And so we were just going out to restaurants, and my dad and I would just get intoxicated because we were bored.
What else would you do?
They had a great selection of cider and beer and whatever, because it's Maine and they've got all these little breweries. And we were driving back from dinner one night, and it was like this really serene, beautiful moment. Like one of those moments where you realize, like it's like that Andy Bernard quote, kind of.
Oh my.
He's like, I love this quote. It's like, I wish somebody would tell you when you're in the best of times before you're out of them.
When you're in the good days before you're out of the good days.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it felt like somebody had like pinched me and was like, "You're in the good days." I was with my
Yeah.
family. We were on a vacation. It was great. I'm looking at like these massive, beautiful mountains in Maine with these ski slopes, and there's no snow, but it's okay because we just
it's
can't.
still beautiful.
Yes, we're coming home from dinner, and we've had some drinks, and we had some amazing food. I still remember that meal. And there's like, you know, the light pollution from cities on either side of the highway, right? But it's this highway like through the woods, and all of a sudden, all of the power in this county of Maine went out.
Oh my gosh.
And we were like, what is going? I'm talking street lights went out. The lights in the cities went out. It was like this rolling blackout.
Oh my gosh.
Everything goes dark.
And you're like, this is the end of the
and
world.
we're like, oh shit. Because we're all reading on our phones like, oh my God, COVID cases here and here. By the way, when we left to get on the plane, like 2 people were wearing masks like in the airport. This is before it was mandated, like the very first part. And it was like, oh, that's a little odd. And then by the time we were flying back, BWI was requiring masks.
Yeah.
So we literally were gone in the interim. So the power goes out. We're on the highway. And I'm like, oh my God, we're fucked. And we finally, sorry,
it's the apocalypse.
I have to keep apologizing to my
Yeah, you need to
grandmother
stop
and
swearing.
grandfather who watch. Sorry,
And my
granny.
parents, please.
Yeah,
Just in
and
case they watch.
Sorry, McInerney's. We get back to the resort, and you know, power's out, whatever, and we're in our room, and this guy knocks on the door, and he's like, "Are you guys the ones smoking in the stairwell?"
You're like, what?
I'm like, what? And he's like, I smelled marijuana in the stairwell. We're like, we're a family of 6. No, we're not smoking the
Really
marijuana. We're like,
marijuana.
also, you're like the manager for this place. We still have no effing power. Like, shouldn't you be worried
shouldn't you
about
be worried
that?
about the
Not
power?
the people smoking in the
Yeah.
stairwell? Those people are the least of your worries.
Yeah, like, okay, whatever.
It was a weird time.
Yeah.
It's not a good time.
That reminded me, I always think about this. I think it's hilarious because I went right before I left. So I left for that trip earlier than you guys because I went back home, got my car, and then drove down to come pick you guys up. And I rode the train home. And I remember my roommate before I left talking about, okay, first of all, it's like hilarious. The day that I left, I went to my internship and I cleaned the whole day. They were all freaking out because there was a case in Arlington and the internship was in Arlington. And they were like, you've got to clean everything. And I was like, okay.
Disinfect it.
Yeah. And then I went back to my room to get my stuff to get on the train. And my roommate was like, if you want this mask, I have this mask for you. Like, I was thinking about wearing masks during travel anyway, but because of this whole COVID thing, like, it might be smart to just, like, have one. And she was a nursing major. So she was like, here, like, I have a bunch of extra masks I grabbed from clinical. And I was like, okay, I'll take one just in case. I still have that mask, by the way. I didn't put it on.
You should frame that.
But I was like, I'll take one just in case. And then no one was wearing them on the train. But I was still like, I just think that that's so fitting in that moment. She was like, take one just in case. And then wear them for the next 3 years. It's fine.
It's a little insane.
Yeah.
What was your coping mechanism during?
Really? You're gonna ask me that?
All right. I'll ask that one later. What, like, you go home after COVID?
Yeah. I love how we're talking about COVID. We need to get over this.
I know. It's like,
You can ask me one more question about COVID, then we're changing the subject.
What did you do during COVID? I didn't see you for 4 years.
So
Not actually.
that's an exaggeration.
Yeah, I've had that.
Well, so we went home in March of 2020, and I had an internship at a gallery, and I was really willing to help them transition into online versions of their shows, whatever they needed help with. I was really there for it, and they were like, no, we don't even know what we're doing. We don't know if we're gonna do anything online, so just hold tight. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever, anyway, because I had my comprehensive exams. By the way, I was an art history major. I have a degree in art history, so that's what
you're worse than the vegans. Good God.
That's what I had
I'm just
comprehensive
kidding.
exams
I gave you
in.
no intro either.
I know, you didn't
Should
give me
I do
any
that
intro.
really quick and then you can continue?
Yeah. Why don't we
Okay.
do that? Because that might help so that I don't have to fill in the blanks as I tell this story.
Becky is my best female friend. I've known her since freshman year of college.
When we hated each other.
Yes. We still hate each other.
No.
We get on each other's nerves very often.
Well, that's because we're the same person.
Yeah. We're very similar people. Don't enjoy spending time together, which is why we see each other like 4 times a year. Art history major.
Yes. Degree in art history and management.
Currently
pursuing a degree in arts and cultural management.
This isn't a call and response. I'm sorry. Keep going. I got confused. I was just repeating what you were saying.
And I am also currently part of a guest experience management team at an amusement park on the East Coast.
Where are you from?
Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Wait, where do you work? That's a nice way to get around it, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. That was clever. A little bit. They can put it together if they want to, but that leads back into your question, which is what I was doing. After we graduated online in May, I went and I worked as a guest experience agent at this amusement park. I'll just say, is at Hershey Park.
Whoa, okay. A little too deep.
Yeah, a little too deep there. But then I had some background in the hospitality field, and it was the closest thing to home that was still relatively in my wheelhouse. So that's what I was doing. But the hours for that are crazy. Anyone in the hospitality, you're gonna get a bunch of bubbles that way. Anyone in the hospitality industry knows that you're open basically 24/7, so you work quite a bit, which isn't a bad thing. I actually enjoy it quite a bit, being busy like that, but that's what I was doing for a while, so that's why you didn't see me. It was because I was working a lot. Don't overflow my cup. Oh my gosh.
It's fine.
Oh my goodness. Wait, no.
Oh my God, you're so dramatic.
Okay, look at that. It's like right on the edge.
They're not watching. They can't see it.
Okay, well, it's right on the edge.
Go watch the YouTube video for this if you want to see the hot mess.
That is Ben.
Okay, well, didn't need that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why you didn't see me. Until you started coming to visit me, which I really appreciated.
Yeah. Occasionally.
Yeah.
With people.
Yeah. That's honestly one of my favorite things.
I can't stand you one-on-one, I think, is my biggest problem. So I usually need to get like a group organized around a visit so that they can kind of take some of the... It would be like if you...
You're really the worst, you know? You really made... I was going to say something champagne. Really positive.
You're going to say something nice about me?
Yeah, and then you just started saying that I'm the worst, so you're the worst, and I won't say the nice thing anymore, so...
Yeah. For all the jokes that I do make, Becky has actually been there for basically every one of my entrepreneurial pursuits. There was an online store, there was a consultancy where she was actually our art history and art expert, and actually did a fair amount of consulting work for some artists in DC that we got involved with, which was very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I was not expecting your role, no offense, to be as applicable to all the people I was working with. And then all of a sudden, you had to come with me to every meeting because they were like, hey, if we see you have an art consultant, we'd like to talk to her, please. Thank you.
Do you want me to tell this really fun story right now that I love to tell and that I don't know if you like to have it out there?
I don't remember it, so I'm actually very excited to hear this. And I have no shame, so I don't care. Go ahead.
So one of my favorite things about being friends with Ben is that he doesn't, well, no, it's a good thing, is that you don't, you like to see the value, like, up front. And, yeah, for a lot of things, maybe less so now, but in college, you're very much like, I need to know that it makes sense long term before I'm going to, like, commit to it. Like, I feel like that was a bit of a thing.
That's a very nice thing to say about me.
Okay.
I have very few things planned out that well.
Okay. Anyway, it felt very much like if you knew stuff about it, then you could support it. And if it was kind of like on the edge for you, you're like, I don't know about it. I don't know about it yet, so I'm not going to like go into it as much.
If you need to burp, you can burp. That's okay.
I'm being ladylike, okay?
Okay.
There's bubbles in the champagne.
Sorry,
I'm trying.
Keep going. You're okay.
Anyway. But I think we'd also kind of, I don't even remember exactly what the context was. It was once you moved into your new apartment, we were over, everyone was over at your apartment. Yeah, we were hanging out. Not quite yet the mystery gang, but yeah. We're hanging out. We're just like a Friday night or something like that. And we were playing Truth or Drink.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
And you had a question. And you were like, this isn't going to be a bad question.
Oh, no.
So you're like,
I remember this now. I don't know.
And then, so basically what the question was rank your friends from who you think is going to be most successful to least successful. And for everyone listening at home, Ben ranked me last. Which was
You jackass.
It was the only thing I remember from that evening. Seriously, one of the very few things that stood out in my memory from that evening.
This is your revenge from that night. You're like, you know what? Eventually, I'm going to go on your podcast. I'm going to tell everyone how much of a douchebag you are.
But it's not even that. It was, and I honestly, there are many things that'll contribute to my, the building of my confidence and like where I am now, and that was definitely one of them, because I was like, no, he doesn't even know. You don't even know what my area, what my profession looks like. You don't know how helpful it can be to you. You don't know. You just don't know. And then I kind of made it my mission to like show you that it's actually worthwhile. And then you knew, because a little bit later you had that client who only wanted to talk to me. But then on top of that, then you started asking me about art and like what was like your style, what looked good in your spaces.
True.
You asked me for like, I mean, you have other friends who know plenty about design. We have 2 other friends that are architects, so 3 really, that are architects. So like they probably know a little bit more about design than I do. But you came to me about like artists and artwork, and you're like, does this make sense? Is this like an actual thing? Like, what's all this? And so
That's
I kind
true.
of use that as my own little personal win, because I'm like, now you come to me for a lot of stuff because you realize how important. It's not just about like knowing history or knowing art. It's about like a lot more than that. So I just, yeah.
That's an amazing way to turn a story about a drunk bully who was being an asshole to you into like, yeah, and it helped.
Listen, that's
I think
one of
some
my
bullying
biggest
is
things.
good, don't you think? A little bullying to the right people.
Listen,
right
okay.
amount.
I was just going to go down this road. I
Do
think
it.
that it's okay, a little bit. I hated it. I was bullied more than once, and I hated every moment of it while it was happening. But I look at some of the people that are my peers, or even people that are a little bit younger than me and who are trying to find their way in the world, and I wish some of them had gone through what I went through, because it builds confidence. It helps you be like, you know what? I don't care what they think. I'm going to do my thing. And there's a million different things that can happen to you to like set you up for that, but unfortunately, bullying is one of those things that kind of forces you to grow up a little bit and be like, okay, this really matters to me. And then a couple years later, when you're trying to let it go and not hold a grudge, you're like, why did that even matter? Like, I'm looking at that person now and they're not doing any better than I am. Like, I'm not going to say that they're doing worse because I don't know, but I know they're not doing better than me. Like, oh my goodness, I have the funniest story to tell you.
I think that is very true, and that's the problem with like, I can't advocate for bullying. I really can't.
Yeah, no. It's not a good thing, and we're not advocating for it.
Right, but I'm glad that I got bullied. It's like I'm glad that I got spanked as a kid.
Okay.
I'm glad that I was beaten within an inch of my... No, I'm kidding. But...
That's a little...
It's...
That's bordering on something you probably shouldn't say. But no, it's...
I gotta call my therapist.
But you're right.
It does set you up better
building.
for life when you have somebody who's just a real piece of shit and they destroy your stuff. I had this one bully... I should say his name. I think he listens sometimes. His name is Tommy Merton. I'm trying to remember his middle name.
Oh, wow.
So he...
Go find him on Facebook.
No, actually, so I've told this story like slightly before on the podcast. I had this bully, Tommy Merton, when I went to school. I won't say what school because that would give away like exactly who he is. There's like 4 Tommy Mertons.
Oh, okay.
And he was just like the worst.
Mm-hmm.
He was this really bad kid. He was always misbehaving. He like was just mean to the teachers and the students, which I thought was weird. I'm like, how do you get away in middle school being mean to the teachers?
Yeah.
He's like bullying teachers. I'm like,
no.
If there were bullying Olympics, you'd be
you
like,
can burp too. Ew.
That was
okay,
a gross
that was not actually permission. That was really gross.
Anyways, excuse me. I'm sorry. There. I lost my train of thought. See, I shouldn't have said that to you because then you can say that to me. Ryan will edit that part out. Ryan, get rid of that. He's not actually... He's listening right now as he's editing, and he's like, you fucking idiot.
He's
I'm
like,
keeping that shit in.
I'm keeping it in. You
He's
look
gonna
like
keep
an
it in.
idiot.
Anyways, he was just not a good guy.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, like, did he have other stuff going on? And I think he might have.
Yeah.
Years later,
Mm-hmm.
looked him up. This was like 2 years ago on Instagram. Found him, followed him. He reached out and was like, oh, didn't apologize. No.
Okay,
no apology. They were so like, hey, I know I used to be like a complete dick to you and like you would like make things in class and I destroy them. I know, you wrote a note to the teacher that you were really upset about how much I was bullying you, and then I found it and I ripped it up and then I punched you on the way to reset. Like, not a good kid. But
My gosh.
Okay. I talked to him later, like now, and he seems like a nice guy. Like well-adjusted, whatever. But also, Tommy's not doing as well as me.
Yeah.
And no offense to you, Tommy. I've made my peace with you, my guy, but I'm definitely still harboring some of the stuff. But I will say, I will give Tommy credit for some of the bullying, as awful as it was, because I have really, really thick skin right now.
Yeah. No, that's
which
definitely
I wouldn't
a thing.
have.
Yeah.
It's not, and I think that's maybe the main benefit of if you do get bullied. Not that bullying is good, generally speaking, but having been through that experience, you're like, that's the worst that I've ever been treated, and that's the rudest that somebody's ever been to me. So if everyone else falls under that threshold, I'm gonna be fine. Plus, dealing with that as a kid, you have no coping mechanisms, skills, therapy, probably as a kid that you do when you're an adult, and then you're an adult, and you're like, if the worst thing that ever happened to me was Tommy Merton,
then I'm doing good.
ripping my notebook up, then I'm gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Tommy. I'm sorry to call you out like that.
I'm not gonna call out mine, but I just want to say,
why not?
Because it's work. It ties back into work, so like I'm not gonna go into it.
Yeah, fair
but
enough.
Through work, I found out that she's a Karen now. So I was like, oh, score.
Is this your story that you had to tell?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
So it's my middle school bully. The other day I was working and I thought I saw her, but I was like, no, I didn't see her. It's okay. And then she showed up in our email correspondence complaining about her day. And I was like, I can't answer this. I was like, guys, someone else has to answer this because I will go off. And then they threatened to someone else was like, I'm going to write it, but then I'm going to sign your name. I was like, don't you dare.
Nope. Don't want to be
involved. I don't want to be
involved.
involved anywhere near that. But basically, I didn't say that. That's fine. But the thing about it that I found really funny was that I'm just like, part of me is a little bit, I hesitate to say this because I'm not upset about the fact that I live at home still. Like, I love being with my parents. And
Wait, you live at home still?
So do you.
Oh, what a loser you are.
You're such a loser. And I love them dearly, and they support me so much. Yeah.
My parents are all right.
Yeah, your parents support you so much too.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit of a like, the last thing you want to do when you graduate is go back home and then work at home.
Not a good feeling.
Like, it's not a good feeling. But that made me feel a little bit better about it because I was like, well, if I can't work somewhere else, which is kind of by my own choosing at this point, but whatever, then at least I can, at least I know that my bully is being a Karen now, and I have the ability to say, I'm not going to deal with you anymore.
It's a win.
That's a bit of a win.
Yeah.
So that's always good. But I also have to say on that same note is that it also depends how you take it, because I have other family members who definitely went through some harsh bullying as well and didn't really come out with a thicker skin necessarily. They came out with with different coping mechanisms that actually have led to the directions that they want to go in life and are going to make them successful in a different way. But it doesn't always lead to thick skin. So
no,
it's not always it's never a positive thing, let's be real, but like the thing that comes out of it isn't always like a superpower. Sometimes it's just, it becomes a part of your personality that you can become proud of, like more internally.
I think that's an important note. Like, as much as I joke, there were also kids that got bullied that like did not.
Yeah. Which is why I'm like, we probably shouldn't be like, oh,
bullying is not.
Please leave people alone. Accept them for their differences.
Oh, yeah.
Allow them to be who they want to be. And don't come for them because you just don't like them. Or because you're insecure. Leave them alone.
Well,
go to therapy.
That's like the weird thing is like there was this huge anti-bullying campaign when we went to school.
Oh, yeah.
It's still there and it's like grown and it's, it's gone through its waves.
Well, now it's because it's like cyberbullying. It's not because it's like in-person bullying.
The weird thing is like I was like hit by bullies. I was pushed over, like
Yeah.
physically, whatever. But I felt like there were less suicides related to bullying back then. Cyberbullying, there's like a shit ton of suicides.
Yeah,
It's terrifying.
it is.
And I think
But
like
it's
the
because
weird
they
thing
can say so many worse things because they can't
you're
see
over
their
the
face.
internet.
Yeah.
Yep. You would never say certain things to people's faces that you would say over the internet.
It makes me feel old that I'm psychoanalyzing it. Like,
No, that's what this show's all about, is overthinking and psychoanalyzing.
okay, well, I'm good at that, so that's good. I'm glad you had me on.
There you go. Yeah, that's good. Are you an overthinker?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another way that we're similar.
Well, I'm not like an extreme overthinker because I overthink until I write it down. Or
Are you
until,
sure you're not an extreme overthinker? Have you thought about that?
Yes, I have. Maybe that makes me a bit of... I already admitted to being an overthinker, but I don't think I'm that extreme. But no, like seriously, like I will overthink things and then I'll be like, this is messing with my stress levels. I'm just going to write it down. I'll come back to it later. Like, it's very much a thing.
Yeah,
so.
deal with it differently.
Are you timing me?
I'm not timing you. I looked at the time.
Oh, do you want me to leave?
I mean, you kind of overstayed.
I've overstayed my welcome. I get it. It's time for me to go.
I think a final statement on bullying, so that I don't. I think the goal for this episode should be to get half canceled, and I think so. My final statement with that in mind on bullying is that it did things for me that nothing else could have. It's not a good thing, but I'm also really glad that I got bullied a lot, because I wouldn't be as successful or as ambitious if Tommy Merton didn't punch me in the stomach, or other. I mean, so the thing that I used to do, this was so funny. I was like, okay, I tried asking women out in middle school regularly. Did not work.
You know,
Terrible.
I tried asking men out a lot in middle school and it did not work either.
So similar. And like I just basically had like I'd pick a new crush every year, and then I'd like focus on that person. And then by the end of the year, right before lunch, I'd ask them if they want to be my girlfriend. And it would just
Backfire in your face.
Every time, horrible. And it got to the point where like the cooler kids in middle school were like, damn, man, respect the way you take all those rejections. Like, that's dope.
I mean,
and
that's good.
And then we should name another person. I had this huge crush on this girl. I really hope she doesn't watch this.
You want to name names?
I
on
do.
Your crush?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
go
feel
ahead.
so. Her name is Marley Neese,
Uh-huh.
and I had this huge crush on Marley, and she's an incredible person too. She's very nice. She's a good person. She's great. But in middle school, I was like very into her. I like bought her earrings at Kohl's and
Aw.
like gave it
So
to her
sweet.
mom. And I
Yeah.
was like, I got these earrings from Marley. Like, if you could give them to her, just say it's from Ben.
That's so cute.
I was a loser. No,
I
horrible.
wish that I had a guy like that coming after me.
You should not be nice to women that you like. It doesn't work. No, I'm kidding. See
That's awful.
I'm treading. I like the
Okay.
line. I like the line.
You
The
know,
line's my friend.
Actually, you know, my biggest crush from middle school, I really want to name drop this because I
it.
just think it's so cool.
Do it.
So my biggest crush up until like 6th grade, which is when he moved to the public school and wasn't in like our private
Is
school
he
anymore.
famous?
Huh?
Is he famous?
He's like a little bit. He has a famous friend. So his name was Daniel, and I had a huge crush on him. He's very
Whoa.
cute. Okay, shush.
Issues with that name
Shush.
already. Go ahead.
Okay, but he's gorgeous, and he's still gorgeous, and he's been like an extra in a couple of different shows. I think he was in Gossip Girl, and he was in a show
Don't watch that.
the new Gossip Girl.
I try and watch good
Okay.
TV. So I haven't
and then
seen
he's
that.
like playing like a Rockefeller or something in this like Fox series. I don't know. I want to watch it, but I don't know what streaming service.
Should we
it's on.
call him?
I don't have his number anymore.
I could get it.
Anyway,
What's his name?
I'm not. Stop.
No, drop his name. He doesn't listen. There's no way.
His name's Daniel Iafreda, and he is best friends with Christian Pulisic.
Who's Christian Pulisic?
You don't know who Christian Pulisic is?
Is that the guy that like screwed up his manhood for the USA team?
Oh, possibly. He's the one who's scoring all of our goals. Oh, sorry, we're out of the World Cup, way out of the World Cup by
We're
this point. but
it's January right now.
Christian
It's
Pulisic
our
is the one
birthday.
who scored our goal, our singular goal against Iran, and scored our goals that got us into the World Cup. Basically, he's from Hershey, Pennsylvania.
How do you spell his last name?
Which one?
The Daniel guy.
Ioffreda. IOFFREDA.
Ioffreda.
You can feel free to look him up. He's really gorgeous. I just think he's...
Ioffreda?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
But no, he's got a good jawline. Good for him.
And nice hair. And good eyes. Anyway, this is not about that. Anyway, but he's best friends with Christian Pulisic, and like I see them on
Oh, because Christian's from Hershey.
Yeah, they went.
I barely know who he is, but I know he's from
yeah,
Hershey.
He's from Hershey, and he like skipped. I also know the girl that he like skipped out of going to prom with. Like I know of her. I think I went to school with her as well, and
Christian.
That was a big crush for me. I was like, ooh. And then the other guys that I had crushes on in 7th and 8th grade, that was just a coping mechanism to get around the bullying. Because I was like, all the girls were against me, and there were only 4 boys in my class. So I like tried to figure out which one of them I could like. Well, I've always kind of been friends with both boys and girls because I like being friends with boys because there's less drama. But I like having, girls as well because then stuff to talk about.
Because you like the drama.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in a sorority.
It's okay
Obviously,
to say that.
I like the drama a little bit.
I think people are really afraid to admit that they like the drama.
Well, but like it adds spice to life, right?
Yes.
Like if you like the drama a little bit,
If there's no drama whatsoever, you live a very boring life. The key, which I think you were
on the outside of the drama.
and you were very good at that in college. You were
drama.
always drama adjacent.
Yes.
So we always had things to talk about.
People in the drama, but I was
were never bored in college.
Yeah, we were never bored in college. But that's why I like being friends with guys was because those are the people who didn't want to get in the drama, but they kind of cared about the drama. Like they wanted to hear about the drama. So I was like the one who told them about the drama because I was like right next to it. So
I was kind of a dramatic friend for you to have in college, though.
Oh yeah, you definitely supplied some drama.
Problems. Cheers.
Cheers. Just so everyone knows, we just got these before the podcast started.
You drink really slow.
Okay, sorry.
You said we had to finish this before we start the rum.
Oh my gosh, yes we do, but we don't have to. Okay, whatever. Oh my gosh, I missed my crown.
Fix your crown.
Oh.
Wait,
anyway.
I want for those listening at home, I want you to listen to the bubbles because it's probably a nice sound.
Yes.
Click your nails against the mic. Don't do that, actually. That's terrible. There you go. Anyways. All right, so you're in love with Christian Pulisic. I already sent a message to Daniel. We'll see
Did you seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I just want to talk to him.
Oh my goodness.
It's fine. It's okay.
Okay.
Anyways.
Anyway.
Think about that while we
I also have some
other
celebrities that like I'm like adjacent to, which I think is so fun.
Really?
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people come out of my town.
Name drop.
So Bryce Hall is a cornerback, I think, for
Don't
the Jets.
care. Hate him. Whoa, wait, Bryce Hall?
Yeah.
That's the TikTok kid.
No, not that one. There's a different one.
Oh, then I care about this one. That's cool.
So Bryce Hall, he plays for the Jets, and I went to school with him from fourth grade to senior year of high school.
How many times do you guys make out?
We did not make out.
Okay.
He did, however, totally tackle me during a game of flag football, which was
Whoa.
great. Because I watched him then play on TV and watch him use that move on someone else. I was like, he did that to me once.
You're like, Bryce, a little overeager, and then you see him do it eventually, and you're like,
or professional.
I should have been into that at the time.
No,
I would be I'd be in a very good position right now.
But then there's a ton of football players that came out of like the area that I'm from, and some comedians as well. Also Stephen Pascal, if you know who that is.
Don't.
He's married to Philippa So, who played Eliza, and she's the original cast of Hamilton. So.
Oh, you said Philip. I thought it was a gay couple. Philippa.
Whatever.
Philippa.
Dufflip.
You shut up. You better shut up. If you're listening at home right now, Becky is trying to. This was her whole plan was to come on the podcast and expose all of the most embarrassing moments of my life. We've hit 2 of them already. This is great. This is why I didn't hook up the cough button, is because I knew you were going to do this, and I was like, you don't get the cough button.
Sorry.
Cough buttons for my guests that don't expose me.
What do you expect from your best girlfriend?
Whoa.
Girl best friend.
I have a lot of girlfriends.
Okay.
Just kidding. Sorry.
He doesn't have any girlfriends.
No,
he has one girlfriend.
One, and she's very nice.
She is. She's wonderful. Hi, Lauren.
I don't really know how she puts up with me, but...
Yeah, I don't know either.
Mystery.
But I like her, so she can stay.
Oh, she's the best.
Yeah, she is really great.
Very strange that I ran into her and she's like, yes, I will spend time with you for free. It's very
For
strange.
free.
Yeah,
Okay,
I only had to pay
sorry.
her.
Get away from that.
I only had to pay her to hang out with me the first few times.
Okay.
And then, yeah, eventually it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing now? You're doing a lot of stuff right now.
What am I doing now? I'm doing a lot of fun things.
Tell me about
I'm
these fun
kind of
things.
going a little bit crazy.
Why?
So I have a packed schedule. So to preface this, everyone thinks it's insane schedule-wise, but I think it's pretty normal. It's actually less than what I was doing before. So what I'm doing now is I am going for my master's in arts and cultural management, which I did mention earlier when you introduced me, in New York City, which was really cool.
Where's that?
Where's New York City?
Yeah.
In New York.
Okay. You just didn't call it the most expensive and crime-infested city in the world, so
okay.
I just didn't recognize that.
Okay. And then I'm also a team member of the guest experience team at Hershey Park. So those are the two things I'm doing now. That is a 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week at the job, and then how much is a day? Like 16 hours of school on the weekends. So it's pretty constant, which is cool. However, it is less constant than my job before, which was working on a cruise ship, and that I did 24/7 basically. So
That's
it's
right.
less than that, which is cool.
You had some dark cruise ship days.
I definitely did.
That was a tough
It
thing
was,
for you to do.
It was
You
a
were
tough
selling
thing for me
art
to
on
do.
a cruise ship.
I was, and that
I
was
think we
really
should qualify
that
it.
was the really cool
You were not
thing.
serving drinks to
No.
drunk couples.
No.
Yeah.
So I worked for a auction house on the ships that was is very cool. It does a lot of very cool things, represents a lot of very cool artists. But I didn't like the experience as a whole. It was very taxing because you work for 6 months straight. You basically work every day. And I signed on in October and I signed off in April. So I missed every major holiday and most of my family's birthdays. And I couldn't get off the ship, like, at all. So it was just really not a great time for me.
But, and I hate to bring bullying up again,
Yeah.
the ship was basically your bully because when you came back, you were like a different person.
Yeah, I was a different person. I was going to say that when we were talking about bullying because, like, that was the other thing
Strength
that
through
really,
adversity, is that?
really
Yeah.
built my tough skin. I walked off that ship and I was like, I am powerful.
Well, when I first hung out with you...
It's more than just the ships, but okay.
Yeah, when I first hung out with you after you got off the ship, I was like, I don't like this. She's very empowered now. She's a lot of self-esteem. This is not good.
I did grow it. Well, see, okay, so there's a couple reasons for that. One of it was I was working in a sales position, which you all know you need to go into that with confidence. Otherwise, people are going to see right through you and you're not going to get anything done.
It's brutal. It's
and
tough.
I walk into every new job that I have, I walk into it knowing that it's an experience. It's an opportunity to build your skills, your talents, and just your experience in general. I also use this tool, or maybe it's not a tool, I don't know. There's two phrases that I always have. One of them my dad gave me, the other one I just picked up from like Pinterest or something, I don't know. The one from Pinterest is that...
the harbinger of great news.
Yes.
And quotes.
Is that... be the person today that you want to be a year from now. So, like, work towards what you want to be a year from now. Like, if you want to be amazing and wealthy and, like, wonderful a year from now, you need to start that today. And if you don't start it today, then you're going to get to a year from now and you're going to miss out on it, right?
Okay, so let's play this out, though, because I'm confused.
Wait, but I want to tell you the other one.
Tell me the other one.
Okay, so the other one, because the other one comes from my dad. And he says when you walk into a new situation, a new job, a room with people that you don't know, you always need to approach it being able, available, and affable. So you need to be able, you need to present yourself as able to get the job done. You need to be available to whatever the situation presents. And then you need to be affable, which is like likable. You need to be open to experiencing any type of person and not put up walls immediately based off of what you think about that person.
Interesting.
So those are my two things that I always use kind of when I
like
go into
that.
a new situation, is to be open to the situation, but be positive and realize that even if it's awful, which the cruise ship kind of was, it's
Do you want to name the cruise line?
No. I mean,
No, don't.
we're not going to talk
Please
about
don't.
it. No, because those are
I
big wigs.
Can't
so
afford to get sued
yeah,
right now.
we're not going to do that. Because there's so many of them, we don't need to do that. Anyway, but like you walk out of experiences and you need to know that when you go into an experience, if you don't like it, that's not the end of the line. You can move on from that and you can recover from that. And then you take whatever you learned and whatever you liked about it and you move it on to the next thing.
I like that.
Yeah. So, like, one of the biggest things that I took away from it was working on a sales team, basically. I mean, we were selling art, but it was more about the sales than it was about the art. And some of the people on my team have been doing it for years. And they had so much confidence. And I walked in with so much more knowledge than they did, like practical knowledge. They knew nothing. I literally taught them classes on art history and art and, like, what to say. But they had been getting by for years without it. So I was, like, blown away by their confidence when I walked through the door. Or when I was on first, but in quarantine still. So when they walked through the door, really.
They were just on it.
They were on it. And I was like, I have never seen anyone do this before. I've never seen anyone have to dive in so quickly. And it's the nature of that job. You have to be on your toes and, like, ready to go all the time.
Yeah.
It's the nature of any sales job, really. And I walked away from that being like, I can be confident in myself. There's nothing stopping me from being confident in myself. I knew more than all of these 30, 40 somethings.
It was blocks that you put up, probably.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of was. It was also just like I hadn't had something that big yet. Like, I'd just had internships really up to that point and working at Hershey Park, which I love. But it was not as challenging as walking onto this ship. And
can we just say quickly?
Yeah.
That's, like, my favorite amusement park.
I
love
know.
Disney, but
Hershey
like,
Park is like,
and you know this.
Yeah.
I've taken how many groups there now? 2 or 3?
2.
2?
Yeah.
I take people all seasons.
Yeah.
To go to Hershey Park.
It's the
It's
thing
just
about
nice.
it is that it's just nice. It's smaller, but it has this history. I was talking to someone else about this the other day. I was like, it has history. Like, they're like, aren't they? Well, they should expand and rip down all the kiddie rides and just put in roller coasters.
Nope.
I'm like, no, because it has
That's
history.
part of it.
And we don't have to talk about it, but I could go off forever on the history because it was built for the town as part of Milton Hershey's, like, legacy. He built it for the town to enjoy. So it's never going to be like some, like, Disney kind of thing. It's always going to be about what the people want.
Yeah, but I think, like, the broader thing is that the way that they treat people there.
Yeah.
Like, Disney obviously is very focused on guest experience, but
yeah.
you have very unique knowledge on guest experience, and I'm not trying to kiss your ass here, but the guest experience at Hershey Park is great because we don't see you guys. If there's an issue, we see you. You resolve it.
Yeah.
We're done. We still have the rest of the day at the park. It's much more streamlined than, like, going to a Disney or Six Flags or Busch Gardens where it's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you just visited with that other group and they got stuck on the ride. And I don't know if you saw this, but I was, like, watching what the ride operators were doing when they were stuck on the ride because I was like, I need to know how they're reacting to the situation. And they reacted perfectly. And I was like, okay, good.
Yeah. And then, by the way, they were stuck for, 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And it was a non-scary.
They were fine.
They were stuck in the bay. And then Hershey was like, here's a fast pass.
Yeah. So I was
great.
I was really proud of our team that day. I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
You said something I want to touch on.
Okay.
I was reading this study this week, which is another way to say I was watching this Instagram reel, and same thing, same level of credentials and realness, and news. Instagram reels is where I get all my news.
I mean, me too, but really,
that's why I'm so informed and researched. So I was watching this reel, and it was this guy on a podcast like this, and he was talking about this study that they did with criminals, and criminals specifically.
Are you comparing me to a criminal?
Yes.
No.
Criminals specifically that burglarized people or assaulted people, or things like that, and they were talking about what is your biggest target for these types of things, right? So, like, if you are looking for a new person to do this to, like to rob them or assault them, who is your target? Who do you go after?
Okay.
And
I'm waiting for this to come back to what I said.
It'll come back. The reason why they did this study was to try and help people in this certain area, I think it was the UK, learn how to act, dress, or go about their day differently to avoid becoming a victim. I wanted to hold that cork. It's the speaking cork, actually. Thank you, jackass.
I needed something to fidget with.
I know. I was fidgeting with the confetti.
I'm going to fidget with this.
So,
let's talk about that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, don't want to. The way I'm bringing it back around, consistently, they would watch videotapes of just random people on the street, and they would never burglarize or assault or choose to, in the study, people that looked like they had things together.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't, because you're like, they've got stuff together, they're going to get rescued, or they're going to know how to come back and, like, get the police on my ass. You know?
Yes.
Like, they're going to be like,
you know what?
They're going to have it together, they want their shit back. I need to stop swearing. I'm swearing now. You unlocked
No, the
my
swearing
filter.
is good. The swearing's good. There's definitely a racial component. There's a gender component.
Yes.
There's a lot of different components that
oh my goodness,
I don't feel like getting into.
Yeah.
Because frankly, I'm not intelligent enough to even comment on any of those things, and that would be a real cancellation.
Yeah,
but
probably.
What you said earlier was being able.
Yeah.
And the able part is really, really key here, because that was one of the words that these criminals used to describe people that they never victimize, was people who look able.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
so if you are able to look able, or to feel able, or to put yourself in a situation where you present as able, not only are you opening yourself up to better opportunities, better relationships with people that you're meeting, but you're also actually statistically proven to have a lower chance of becoming a victim of a crime.
Well, you know, that's really important to me, since I apparently have you seen the golden ratio filter on TikTok?
Yes.
Where they, like, if you're between a certain number, you're gonna, like, it's, like, almost guaranteed that you're gonna get kidnapped or whatever. I'm in that ratio of, like, you're gonna get kidnapped. So I'm like, okay, so I'll just have to be...
That was a really cool way to bring up that you think that you're hotter than everyone else.
I didn't say that. I just said I'm in the ratio.
I'm just inferring.
I'm only 1 point above the ratio, okay? But that's the thing, right? Is that, like, the funny thing I think about that whole ratio thing is, I think if you're, like, a woman who's, like, put together, you're that girl or whatever, then, like, you are going to look able and no one's going to come for you, because they're going to be like, that girl is going to turn around and get the police on my butt. Like, they're going to get their stuff back.
It is weird.
Yeah.
It worries me, too, not to keep ragging on cities, but I love to rag on cities.
Yeah.
I have a lot of women who are very important to me.
Yeah.
That live in major cities.
Yeah. Well, it's not fun. And I've got to say, I was telling my mom about this the other day. I only go to New York on the weekends for class. I don't live there, and I'm happy I don't live there. We were talking about this earlier. I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I even want to live there eventually, even if I had, like, a really awesome opportunity. But the thing is that I've only been going to classes for maybe, like, 3 months at this point, and I already know what streets to avoid, how to walk in certain places. Like, it takes one cat call, and you're like, okay, so never going back to that street.
No,
or, okay, that's where all the guys hang out once it gets kind of even a little bit dark, so I'm never going back there again. And but, like, that's part of being able, is, like, recognizing, being aware. Like, this is my favorite thing to do, is to put, like, my headphones in, and then act like I can't hear anything, but not have any music playing. I think this is very much like
It's New York.
I think it's very much what girls do when they're walking and it's dark outside. Like, you put your headphones in so that if someone catcalls you, you can act like you didn't hear them, but you are also aware, you can hear if there's someone following you, you can hear other things start going on and stuff like that.
Yeah, because if you're listening to music, you cannot.
Yeah, so if you're listening to music, and I've heard this is actually as a tip, I've heard women say that you should, if you want, you can put your headphones in, not play music, and still be able to hear. And it's definitely something I've used, and it's definitely something that, like, if you approach it being able and being like, I need to be aware of what's going on so that I don't get kidnapped or mugged or whatever, then I'm going to be, and I know how to do that. And then if someone decides to test me, then today is that day, and they're not going to walk away from it. They're going to walk away from it being like, I'm never doing that again.
It's kind of crazy that we even have to talk about it.
I know.
Or even help you prepare for it.
I mean, it's a
thing. Can we do a city PSA? Can we do that?
A what?
A PSA about cities.
Sure.
Should we do that?
I mean, I don't entirely know what you mean, but yeah, we can go.
TOTs listeners, do not live in a city.
Okay, no.
Don't live in a city, because if you live in a city, you're probably spending most of your money on rent and groceries and going out with your friends.
He's not wrong, but also cities
pause. You are in danger constantly. Not only are you in danger, but studies show you are at a higher risk of things like high blood pressure, heart disease, and other major problems because you live around too many people. Don't do it. Don't live in cities. Come on. Anyway, Becky, tell me more about how you like New York City.
From this side of the table is that cities give you good opportunities, and a lot of times you'll find the coolest things in cities. I will say that there are some cities that I don't like, and those cities I don't like.
Call them out. Name them.
New York City. But other cities I love, and I would go back in a heartbeat. Maybe that's a little bit because of college nostalgia, but also because they offer a lot of opportunities. And I will name drop that city, and that city is DC.
DC is great,
leave
though.
some for later so we can do the thing. The
Oh,
fun thing.
yeah. All right, should we count that as done then?
Yes. We're not
Okay.
we're going to leave
Okay,
it for
and then we'll
afterwards.
switch to the...
Sorry, we're
yeah.
doing some cool things for you guys, so we have to talk about logistics. Anyway, going back to what you're saying.
So douchey. I didn't know women could be douchey, but there we go. Don't live in a city. It's
No.
not good for your health.
You can live in a city if you need to.
We're going to actually clip
Don't-
that and put that on Instagram, that PSA.
Okay.
I think it's good.
I don't think so.
Did you know New York City this year was rated... We talked about this earlier.
I know.
It's rated the most expensive city in the world.
I know. It is.
Did
the
you
most
know
expensive.
Dubai exists?
Yes, I know.
Have you heard of Dubai?
I have. I actually go to a school with an international program,
Oh.
and 2 of the girls in my class lived in Dubai.
Okay.
So
Explain to me how living in
in New
a
York City is less
in a
expensive or more
variable
expensive than Dubai.
paradise in
It's
the
less expensive than
tropics.
living in a garbage can
It's less expensive to live in Dubai,
than in New York City.
where everyone drives a sports car
Mm-hmm.
and hate crimes abound,
Yes.
than to live in New York
my
City, where
goodness.
also hate crimes abound,
Yes.
depending on what your race
It's
is.
because everyone wants to. Ooh. Oh my gosh.
For those of you listening from home, Becky has just smacked our $3,000 mic. It will probably not work after this. It's not that expensive.
Okay.
One day. It's expensive, though. Don't do that again.
I'm sorry.
Ridiculous.
I'm so
kidding.
sorry.
I'm kidding. You're fine.
Oh my god.
But don't do that again.
Okay, I won't do it again.
I'm just Becky, I'm kidding. Relax.
I said no making me cry.
Don't do that again. Sorry, go ahead. What were we saying?
It's because everyone wants to come to New York.
Why?
Because it's a melting pot. You can literally find anything there. It's
Everywhere is a
scary.
melting... Well, not the
No.
South. But
It's really not. No. Because you can go so many places, and who was I even talking to this about? Talking about this too. Oh my goodness, my words. Anyway,
you got the good champagne. That's why you're slurring your words.
that's not what happened. This is okay. I'm not going to go into it. Sometimes
Okay.
I just mix. It's like kind of dyslexia, but it's not. It's fine.
So you're saying I am not appreciative of your disability.
Okay, calm down. I'm not saying that at all. Let me move on with what I was saying,
Go ahead.
please. So the thing is that different areas have different communities, like immigrant communities that come into them. I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I don't remember who. So if you're watching, I'm sorry. But if you're not, great. But they were talking about how different areas have different immigrant communities that thank you for the talking cork.
Yeah.
That kind of live in that area. New York has the highest population of them, and it's because Ellis Island is right there, and so many of them just stayed. So,
True.
like, you know, the Italian population came over, the Jewish population came over, the Irish.
You're gonna get me with
all
the
of them.
Italians.
I know.
I like the Italian
I know you
section of
do.
New York a lot. I like the Puerto Rican sections.
That's a good section. But besides the point, there are so many people that come over to New York, and that's the best area for them to be. Some of them don't stop in New York and they keep going. Those are the smart ones. Which I can say because I come from an Irish background and they stopped in New York, so it's okay.
No, they went up to Boston.
No, my people stayed in New York. They're in Long Island. But that's besides the point.
McInerney's.
They're all in Long Island. And they're not all McInerney's.
Well, it's good to keep them in one place so we can
Yeah.
monitor them, make sure they're
Yeah.
not screwing things
Okay.
up. You know.
But anyway, but New York is a great place to find those communities. The strength that it has and that I like about it, but I know I won't be able to find for myself, is that it's built up of little niches, like different places that different people can feel at home. Okay, so I literally
that's very fair.
I
That's
just
very
had
fair.
one of the projects for our final projects this semester. We were talking about
Oh, what school? No, I'm
I'm
just
not
kidding.
gonna
Go
say.
ahead.
We were talking about, we did ethnographic studies. So we were talking about people and how they interact with the locations. My group did bowling alleys. We had a load of fun. Another group did,
That's interesting.
it was a lot of fun. But another group really, I think it was my favorite one out of all 4 of them. including my own, was that they went to different supermarkets that had a presence from their home country. So every single person in that group was from somewhere else. One was from Mongolia, one was from China, one was from Palestine, and one was from, oh my goodness, from Turkey. And they all went to except for the Turkish woman, the rest of them all went to supermarkets that had food and were run by people from their home country. So it was like,
that's so cool. And you can't find that outside of New York.
Yeah, you wouldn't find that anywhere outside of New York. So I give New York that credit. Like, it brings in so many different parts of the world, and there's so many cool things about it.
But is it
it's dangerous.
worth it? It is a dangerous city, and you're paying a premium to live in a dangerous place.
Well, no. If you don't want to live in a dangerous place, then you're paying a premium. If you don't care about the danger that you're in, you don't have to pay as much as you would pay otherwise. It's still very expensive, but it's less expensive to live in the bad areas.
I'll put it this way. I talked to Lauren a couple months ago, and she was on this tear about, would you ever buy in D.C. and all this stuff. And she loves D.C.
Yes.
And you know what?
I understand that.
I love D.C. too. And through her, I love D.C. more because it's made me appreciate the things that you can do in D.C., the people. We were having a discussion, quick sidebar, about somebody, and we were talking about that they're not very social and that we wanted to get them out more and wanted them to, hang out with our friends. And we like to do that. We adopt people who are not very social.
And you bring them into the fold.
And we bring them in and we take them out and we use all their battery and then we're recharged because we're doing it tomorrow. Yes. We love that because it's good for them. We like doing it. It's really for us. Yeah. But it's good for them.
You guys are really And
I was saying,
forever a Marshall. I'll just leave it at that. But forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Mitch Mother. You're always Marshall.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
You don't have to practice law and you're definitely Marshall anyway. Kind of Barney, but also Marshall anyway.
Agreed. And I was saying well, I'm not the most social person. She's like, look at your Instagram. Are you serious?
Yeah. We were talking about this the other day.
We were, yeah, because I'm very social now, but I mean, and I guess this is not to make this podcast a love letter or romantic thing for Lauren, but I'm very much more social with her. I like that. Yeah. Should this be a love letter to Lauren, the whole podcast? Yeah.
Love you, Lauren.
That's great. She's listening right now stupid.
Just like I was when you...
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to that later.
No.
But through her, and again, this is another reason why I love her, I've just become much more social in D.C. And I think it was something that I was missing that I didn't know that I was missing. Not to be very cliche about it, but it was I do love D.C. I also hate D.C.
Yes.
But a lot of my friends are based there, and when I was in college in D.C., I loved it.
Yeah.
It was my favorite place in the world. And then COVID hits, and I'm living back home, and I'm like, why would you deal with this, this, and this? And then you lose some of that. Lauren has kind of brought me back into that fold to the point where I haven't lost the skepticism about the cost and the danger and all this other stuff. But I do...
I don't know. There's
just
something about DC. I think the thing that I love about it is that it feels comfortable. It's still out of my comfort zone to be in the city by myself. But this is what I was telling my mom. I was I would love to go back to DC because since I went to school there, I feel comfortable going places by myself. I know where the good places are. I know where the bad places are.
Yeah.
And I know how to get around as well.
You know what the problem is though?
Can I finish my sentence?
Yeah, go ahead. I like that you... Sorry. Again, this is going to be my last comment, and then I want you to continue. I like that you correct me on that. That's good.
About what?
When I interrupt you, that's good.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Well, this is why we're friends, is because I know how to stop you.
You're honest. Keep going. Your mom said something.
But no, I was saying to my mom, I was the reason that I don't like New York is because I don't feel... It pushes me out of my comfort zone, almost too much. I don't know if that's an okay thing to say. I feel some people... It's always good to be pushed out of your comfort zone, but
I mean, if you're boring, yeah.
Thanks.
No. Sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt again.
Yeah, you're interrupting again. Can I finish? I'm going to lose my thought because you keep interrupting.
I'm taping my mouth shut. Please
okay.
Go.
But the thing about New York is that I don't feel comfortable going. Yeah, please don't do that. I need to talk to someone.
I'm asking you to continue. Please continue.
I need to feel comfortable going places by myself. I do feel comfortable going places by myself because I am able and I walk around like I own the place, even if I don't. But the problem is that in DC, I was there long enough, and not even that long, like 4 years max, that I walked away being like, no, I feel comfortable in this space. Like, I know where the good parts are. I know where the bad parts are. I know where I can't be once it gets dark. I know how to use the transportation. I know how all of it works. If I get lost, if I don't have my phone, I can make it through. And it's not that I don't feel that way about New York. I think I do at this point. I kind of get it. And I feel comfortable enough to, like, get through most of it. But it's not, I don't love it. Like, once you get through it and you, like, learn a lot about the place and you're like, okay, I get this place now, it has to turn into, like, a love of that place. And I just don't. But with New York, it's just not clicking.
Not to relate everything back to bullying.
Oh, my gosh.
But
Third time's a charm.
New York City bullied you.
Okay.
And you ended up developing coping mechanisms, but not to the point where you want to stay in New York.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that New York bullied that love New York now for all its good and bad, and I admire that.
Well,
I have
it's
a cousin
not to
that lives
say
there.
DC didn't bully me. I think DC bullied me a little bit as well.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, Frank Scalfaro, to name drop again, got punched in the face by a homeless guy.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
On a less funny
night.
note, I had, female classmates that were assaulted in DC. So it's something that you think about. My cousin in New York, who I won't name drop because she does listen and she wouldn't like me to do that. But she carries a taser around for protection, which I still think is the ultimate protection other than a firearm, because
I do the brass knuckle with my keys.
It's not going to save you.
I have a pretty strong punch.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
But pepper spray has blowback.
I shouldn't have said that. I feel like that's bad to say.
You're fine.
Okay.
Pepper spray has blowback if there's any wind. Pepper gel, you have to be more accurate because it's not a cloud, right?
Yeah.
So taser, it's loud, it's bright, and it's scary.
Yeah.
No one wants to get tased.
No.
You can be fine through a pepper spray. It's gonna suck for like a couple hours.
But
a taser is like it's gonna last a lot shorter than anything else. Yeah. But it's the scariest thing ever because if they hit you with that, you're going to ride the lightning.
Yeah.
That's not a good feeling. My cousin lives in New York. This is one of my problems with the cities. Is they're like, hey, we have a lot of problems with guns and weapons and all this other stuff. So instead of like really harshly punishing the people who use them to like commit crimes, they're like, blanket, no one can own a gun in this fashion. Also, tasers and pepper spray or mace, we've got special rules about. She's had her taser taken like 3 or 4 times now. She keeps buying new ones because she's like, it makes me feel safer to have it. Yeah. I'm glad to have it, but I get it taken every 6 months often, or whatever. And it's like making things illegal that the public are using to protect themselves does not help. You should punish the criminals that use them to commit crimes like immensely more, like double the amount of time in jail, double the fines, whatever. But the citizens that need to protect themselves, you're like, you can't have that either. Yeah. We're worried. What if you become a criminal? It's like, how am I supposed to defend myself?
Yeah. No, I have a problem with that just in general because it's like, I don't want to go into that. That's a whole other topic. And I feel like I'm not in the right. I want to be having fun. This is our birthday podcast.
This is our birthday podcast.
That's really deep and I don't want to go into it.
Thing to scare us both with.
Oh my gosh.
Can we be honest? That was terrifying. I'm still a little shaky.
I think I screamed a little bit.
I think you did.
I'm a little shaky too.
If you don't follow us on Instagram or TikTok already, you should definitely do that so that you can watch the reaction of Becky when we had a misfire of our effing
please don't
confetti
do that.
cannon.
Oh my gosh!
That
no,
we
you
now
should
have
do
to
a
clean up
TikTok
later.
where you pop it and then I also pop mine like right after. You should like put them together.
I want to be the artistic
director of the podcast.
Do you really?
I could be.
I would hire you in a second.
Listen, I just found out recently that artistic director. I think I've always known, but I found out recently that like being an artistic director of a company would be like awesome.
Do you want to do that?
I can if you want me to.
How much do you want to get paid?
I'm not going to tell you that over there.
No, I'd like to do this publicly, please.
I'm not going to do that.
$50 a month.
No.
Shit.
Absolutely not. I cost more than that. Thank you very much.
We don't make very much here, Becky.
Well, maybe I'll do it pro bono, but I'm not going to do it if you offer it to me over the air. You got to tell me in person later on.
Damn it.
I kind of believe you, but I don't 100% believe you.
What? That I would want you to be artistic director?
Yeah. I mean, I do.
I want you to do that.
Okay.
I just know you have a lot going on. I don't want you to. I don't want you to pro bono something that you don't have time for.
Yeah, I'd have to actually look at stuff because, by the way, we're gonna talk about this later because I'll plug all my stuff. But I am working on my own podcast, which I had to put on hold because I was on the cruise ship, so I need to finish it. And then season 2 is gonna come out hopefully within like a week or two after this podcast goes up.
I think we should talk about the fact. I think we should talk about the fact that you had really, really effing good numbers on Spotify, despite putting in like no work.
I know. I had this thought about this brand when I started building it. I was like, you know what? I just want to do it for fun. Like, I started it. I will give credit to my dad. Like, he really was like, you know what you should do? You should do a podcast. And I was like, well, I don't listen to podcasts, so why would I do a podcast? And it has done really well. And I've done very little work with it since I was like, since work picked up and then I got on the cruise ship. Like, I really haven't touched it very much, but my numbers are pretty significant. And I was telling you this the other day when we were talking about it, but I think it's because it's educational as much as it is. So it's fun for me. It's a way for me to maintain the knowledge that I amassed while I was getting my degree, but it's also educational for other people. Like, I don't know if I ever told you this story, but my cousin, who I won't name drop to just like keep her anonymous from the people just in case, I don't know. But she told me one time at one of our family get-togethers that she listened to my podcast because she wanted to be supportive. And then it turned out that one of her professors had purchased this painting. And it wasn't even like a huge painting, but he had said something about how it had like influence from this style. And she was like, oh yeah, so it's like this, this, and this. And he was like his jaw dropped.
Where did you learn that?
Because he's like, you know stuff about this? And she's like, yeah, of course I know stuff about this. And then she came to me and she's like, I knew nothing about it. I took everything I said from your podcast. And I think that's so cool. So I think that there's like a educational factor to it, which I didn't think about. And I kind of just did it for myself. I'm realizing now I'm talking very fast, so I'm going to try to slow it down.
Oh, that's okay.
But
you can see your
I know. It's like really fast. It's all on top of each other.
It's like that. No, it's good though.
But yeah, it did really well, and I was gone from it. I've been gone from it for almost a year now because I was on the build up to the ship was intense because I had to memorize a lot of stuff, and I was still working at the park before I left, so I didn't have a lot of extra time. And then I was on the ship, and you don't have Wi-Fi while you're on the ship, nor did I have my microphone with me, so I couldn't record. And then I got off the ship, and I started my master's program, and I started my full-time job, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so much. I need to get in a groove before I can get back into it. So that was like 5 episodes or something left from season 1, which will be posted by the time this comes out, and then season 2 will
check the show notes.
Yeah. And then season 2, hopefully, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, will launch in February. So, but
it's very exciting.
Yeah, but the numbers were really cool. Oh, okay. So the name of the
plug it. Come on.
The name of the blog is Art History Perspectives, and then the name of the podcast is Art History Perspectives Before You Go. So the whole idea with the podcast is that it's kind of like, you know how like when you go to museums, you can like purchase the audio guide and then you like learn extra stuff about the works of art.
I hate doing that because they're never entertaining.
They're not, but my podcast is.
And it's free.
Wow,
this is amazing. I had no plan. Wait, hold on, let me get my script. I did not know that we were going to discuss this evening. I feel unprepared, but whimsically excited to listen to.
Art history perspectives.
History perspectives before you go.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. The first season was for the National Gallery of Art, which is in DC, which is why I love DC so much.
Love it.
And I think I'm still waiting for some feedback from fans, but I think I know what season 2 is going to be about. I'm not going to say it just in case it changes.
Do you want to release it on this podcast?
No, I'm not going to release it on this podcast.
Kind of shitty of you.
I'm sorry, but it's a surprise. That's for my own media, so.
No, it's good.
But
I think we talked about this the other day.
I wanted to talk about the numbers though. Let me pull them up, but keep saying what you're gonna say.
Well, don't tell people your numbers. It's terrible. You can't tell them the real numbers.
Oh, okay. I'll fake it.
Well, okay. Sorry, I'm being controlling. You can do whatever you want.
I'm not gonna actually say the numbers, but I want to see them so I don't get them 100% wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What are you
You're
gonna say?
in a bunch of countries.
I am. 61 countries.
Yes. Becky beat me in Spotify
Wrapped.
Do you know what your percentage is for listeners through Spotify?
I don't, but I have it up so I can look in a second here.
There you go. Becky beat me in most followed. You're in the 10%, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so.
We're
My
in the top.
Spotify listen is 93%. Damn. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think I'm 30% maybe. Becky's Spotify Wrapped for podcasters was insulting to me. Frankly, she beat me in podcasts that are followed. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Because you're in the top 10%. I'm in the top 30%.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
What did you get for shared globally?
I don't know
need
what
to
I
win
got.
here.
I don't know what I got for shared globally. I'm
All right,
pulling it up so that you
we're
can
gonna
compete
say
with me.
80%, and I
Okay.
was in the top 20, so I feel better about myself.
Okay, you can
Just
do
kidding.
that. But yeah, that was a huge moment when I asked you to go over those numbers because I was like, I don't think I beat you because I think something's wrong with the program. I was
No,
like,
but
I think I'm wrong. I don't think that's true. But
no, you're not wrong. The only difference is that I get a portion significantly of my listens through Spotify, but it's not all of my listens.
Yeah.
But your numbers compared to
Kinda
the average
ridiculous.
podcast and even compared to my podcast are incredible for the amount of episodes that you've released. You've done 20
there's
episodes
20 out, yeah.
and your listening is huge for 20 episodes. It's amazing. And I'm really excited about that
Yeah.
because I have a lot of podcast friends that are much bigger and much smaller than me, but your podcast in particular was something that you came up with off of a conversation with your dad, and you were like, I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And it's been wildly successful already.
Yeah.
And that's very exciting for me.
Well, and I think the other thing is that because we're looking at the countries and we're talking about how I have 61 countries that my podcast is listed in, which is
what?
huge. I'm like,
There's only 200 something
61. Yeah.
companies.
Companies.
Good Lord. Countries. And you're in 61?
Yeah. 21%. You're in the top 10% of most followed podcasts. So this
Look
went
at that.
21% of
Can the
followed
camera
podcasts.
see that? Probably not. It's
Probably
okay.
not.
It's going to screw up the camera
yeah,
for the rest of
but
the
that's
episode.
fine.
It's fine.
Just wanna check it.
That's huge. No, don't touch
Okay.
it. I'm like, don't you touch it.
But oh my gosh, wait, what did you say?
Your podcast. It's huge.
Oh, right, because the
You're
61
doing big
countries, right.
things, and
Well,
you're
I think
not that long into
But
it.
I think the thing is that I started it in 2020, right? Like I call it my COVID project.
Yes.
And the thing is that you see that it's in 61 countries, and I think that the big thing about that is that people didn't have the ability to travel, right? Some countries still can't travel. I have a friend in my program who's from China. She still hasn't been able to go home since 2020.
Oh, well, China's
She's-
COVID policy
I
is
know.
insane.
I know. But she's been here since 2020, and she hasn't been able to go home.
Of course not.
And no,
you
of
can't
course not.
get
But,
in and
like-
out of the country right now.
But like that's my point is that like people, I don't think China's on like my top 5, but if they were, that makes sense because they haven't been able to leave and they want to experience cultures that are different parts of the world. Maybe not
Yeah.
even cultures. They just want to have like a connection to the rest of the world. So I feel like it makes sense because it's
because of the
it's
timing.
something that I timed it really. I mean, again, thank you, Dad. But like I timed it really well because it got released right when everyone was kind of like, I'm stuck at home. How
Don't
am I
have things to
gonna
do.
feel like I'm doing something? And I think that that's how it helped. Granted, this is the 2022 Wrapped, so like this is not the first season. I haven't done anything at all
You've been
this
growing
year.
and growing.
So it's like
Yeah.
really insane because I really haven't touched it this year. But it's fascinating. It really is, and
It's dope.
it makes me feel really positive about it because I just like
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you just don't think about the things that you do and the impact that they have, and then you get something like this and you're like, oh my goodness, like these numbers have to be wrong, but they're not, and it's awesome.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's dope.
Yeah, I'm
I'm proud of you.
I'm not at the bottom of your totem pole anymore for most successful, am I?
See, I feel like that's not a fair thing to bring up because I was
Sorry.
very intoxicated.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. Actually,
Okay, I won't
I need a
apologize.
formal apology.
I'm not
actually.
gonna
That's
apologize. Never
ridiculous.
mind.
That's
No,
so ridiculous.
It was your fault. You said
Okay,
it.
you know
so
what? We're bringing up things.
You're the one who should.
We're bringing up
Oh,
things. Yeah. Becky yelled at me while we were at her beach house in Duck.
Oh, this is what you're bringing up.
I made her. Okay.
I thought you were
This-
bringing something else.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay, thank
This
you.
actually makes me look worse.
Oh,
I
good.
wanted to do something dumb, and I made Becky do it, and I think it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I wanted to make salt. And if you've
Oh
never
my
made
God.
salt before,
No,
essentially
I had so much fun doing that.
you can just take a giant pot from your best female friend's beach house and fill it with
Not
seawater.
my beach house, thank you very much.
Her parents' beach house, and fill it with seawater and take it back to her parents' beach house and boil it for like
the whole day,
4 to 6 hours, and then microwave it and oven bake it.
Oh
yep.
yeah, you did oven
yep.
bake it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then scrape it up and chop it up, and then you make salt.
Natural
and
sea
I
salt.
made Becky do that with me and spilled a little seawater in the car.
Well, it was your car, so I don't care.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. No, I actually really enjoyed that experience. I thought that was hilarious.
Later that night.
And also because it was like, okay, wait, hold on. Because also, just for clarity, we went with 5 people, including the 2 of us, and we were the only 2 who weren't still in school, so we had nothing to do while everyone was doing their homework.
Bored. I was getting yelled at.
Let's go make sea salt.
I was getting yelled at by my last company I worked for.
Yeah.
They were like, we wanted you to do that. I'm not getting into it.
No, don't get into it. Say what you were going to say.
To pick.
Say what you were going to say.
I am incredibly happy about my current company.
Yes.
It's eons better than the last one.
No,
but,
you've sung its praises plenty of times.
Oh, yeah.
But continue with what you were going to say that broke the camel's back.
Becky and I decided to have some beverages of an adult nature that evening.
Oh my gosh, you're going to bring this up?
And Becky yelled at me about being a douchebag.
Okay, yes, okay. I was like, I thought you were going to go into the other stuff.
Oh, God, no.
A lot of stuff that happened that
God,
night.
no. I'm not that intoxicated. Good Lord, that was a mess of a trip.
We won't even
Becky
go into that.
thought
We're
it was
just
a good
really
idea.
Stupid young adults. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't even want to.
So, Becky, there's a lot of things going on in the art world right now.
Yeah, let's move on to that.
Did you see Banksy release today?
I haven't seen it if it was today because I've been
Check out his Instagram. I saw it like right after he posted it. He released 50 screen prints and all the proceeds go to Ukraine, and I almost bought one, but they're $5,000.
Of course they are.
And I want to buy a house next year and put a studio in that. Little sneak peek.
Yeah.
And I...
Is it the fragile thing?
Yeah, I can afford a Banksy, but I can't intelligently afford a Banksy.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Investing in art is always an investment.
Yes.
I wasn't allowed to say that at my job, but it always is. And it's not because it's an investment money-wise, but it's an investment for you, right? Like, you're investing in something that actually speaks to yourself as a personality point. Like, it's a great way to, like, express yourself without doing it through clothes or shoes or makeup or whatever else you want to do it through. It's a great way to kind of be like, this is how I feel, I connect with this. And this is like a part of me, and it's a great thing to have. And then sometimes it gets you some extra money, so that's always nice as well. But
exactly.
Yeah.
I have a running. I want to make sure the camera didn't see that. I have a running list of drunk thoughts, and the first one on this list of drunk thoughts is artwork is so aggressive. Come over my house and look at this shit I deem interesting or important.
Yeah. Well, but the greatest thing about art, this is the thing that I love about art, is that what really matters is that you love it, right? Like, it's not about how other people perceive it. It's not about whether or not other people like it. You get it because you connect to it.
What did you think of Epstein's art of George Bush playing with the paper plane and the Jenga towers?
What are you talking about?
Did you see that?
No.
Okay, so Epstein
I really hate it when you do this. When you like make me feel inadequate for knowing stuff about art.
Oh, no. Not inadequate. I'm just not a good person. Epstein had this piece of art that was George Bush. Ryan, put this up on screen, actually. It was George Bush playing with a paper airplane, and there were these Jenga towers. And then he also had a piece of artwork of Bill Clinton in the Monica Lewinsky dress. And I wanted to know what you thought about that kind of art.
Let me pull it up first, though, to see.
This is also not fair to Becky. I apologize.
Yeah, because I don't know what you're talking about. See, okay, so if you wanted to talk about any other big artist, I probably could talk about it off the top of my head, but you're going niche, which is great, and political, which is wonderful.
Of course, as always. I'm glad we sprung for these $1.50
I
tiaras.
know, it's starting to hurt my head, but it's wonderful.
It's a little tight.
I know. Well, they're definitely child ones, but it's fine.
We have big heads.
Speak for yourself.
Okay. Well,
I can't find it.
I'll find it for you.
So you need to pull it up.
You gotta go on.
But before I go into that, what I did want to say was that contemporary art is awesome because so many people are like, oh my goodness, my child can make that. Oh my goodness, it's so simple. Like, why would you ever buy something that's like just a bunch of random colors on a piece of canvas? And I think that the really wonderful thing about it is that people will connect to it for different reasons. Okay. And who did that?
Epstein owned it.
Oh, he owned it, but who painted it?
I don't know. It's and then the other one was this one of Bill Clinton.
Okay. Can you click on it so that you can find out who made it?
I don't want to focus on it.
Okay, I know. But the person who painted it is actually just as important as the actual thing
That's
itself.
good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because, so this is a really big thing. I don't actually know the artist who painted these.
I'll send it to
The
you.
really big thing is that knowing the artist, especially with contemporary art, is one of my favorite things to talk about because when you know the artist, you can learn so much more about the artwork itself. And I'm going to make a sweeping turnaround to my senior thesis.
Whoa.
Which was all about...
Way to rope that in.
Yeah, learning more about Andy Warhol and his personality and how that ties into... Thank you for the talking cork.
Yeah.
How that ties into the artworks in the final years of his life. Oh, that's a sound.
It was probably loud on
Yeah.
the...
Yep.
Do you have COVID right now?
No, I just have a...
Listeners, I do
When
apologize
I
that Becky's
talk-
giving COVID to you through your speakers. It's kinda
Sometimes
rude.
when I talk a lot, I don't talk often. So when I talk
Okay.
a lot, sometimes I start coughing because my vocal cords need more practice.
I think people need to let you talk more.
Thank you. I think so as well, but I never force my way into a conversation because if people can't appreciate what I'm saying and don't want to give me room to speak, I will not speak. But
See? Empowered. It's just so annoying. I'm just
besides
kidding.
that,
That's
you
awesome.
just totally knocked the camera.
Did I knock the camera?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, jeez.
When you like shook it. Anyway, but going back to it, it's really important to know the artist because it'll give you clues about what the artwork is actually about and what the whole point is when you know who the artist is. So like my senior thesis was on Andy Warhol. There's a whole element to his work that is really religious because he grew up very Catholic, and then the works that he started to do towards the end of his life were very Catholic, and none of the rest of his works were Catholic, but you can see him kind of starting to understand that he's coming to the end of his life, and he's like, I'm going to reacquaint myself with my faith, or I'm going to at least start really thinking about it because I'm coming to the end. I don't know if you know how he died, but he went into a surgery, and he never came back from the anesthesia.
What was his last piece of art that he did?
His last series was a series of The Last Supper. It was prints of The Last Supper.
You think he
One
knew
of which, he
that
definitely
it was risky?
knew.
Yeah.
He knew. And like he maybe wasn't 100% sure, but I think he kind of knew going into it that if it wasn't the end, it was almost the end. And one of his last works that he did was actually a Last Supper with a camouflage print in front of it, which I think is very telling. She's like camouflaging your faith. Because I think that if that's what he actually meant by it, because he never gave commentary. He never talked about what his artwork actually meant. He was like, oh, it's a machine, it's no big deal. But like if you go into it, like it feels like he has hidden clues. And he loves making fun of us from the grave. Like
That's so cool.
I don't know, he has a bunch of boxes that he put random stuff in and then taped up, and now archaeologists are going through it like one at a time to like catalog everything. It's like pieces of trash. And he's great. He's a real jokester. But that's a really interesting last piece because it's like, well, if you know him, you know that he never gave commentary on anything. He was never like, this is what this means, so take it literally. Right. But like if you look at that, you're like, camouflage in front of the Last Supper. I wonder if he's talking about how he kind of had to camouflage his face because he worked in a really like fast and loose environment where everyone was just kind of being themselves, and he definitely was not straight, and everyone who surrounded him was not straight, and he did like pornography films and like stuff like that.
Whoa.
So like how much of his faith did he hold on to? How much of it did he camouflage just for the sake of his art? And how much of it did he just like discard because he was like, you know what, never mind. I like this more.
That's so
it's
interesting.
Really interesting. You have to know the artist to kind of get the piece. So going back to those pieces you showed me, I'm like, I don't know the artist, so I can't really speak to the piece very much. I think they're interesting because they're definitely commentary, and for people who want to look at the negative of the political situation on both sides, they can look at that as a negative, as making fun of. But I think it's also important to know the artist and know where they stand, because if they're a political artist and they're coming at it from that perspective, then they're obviously doing that to make fun of the person.
Right.
If they're doing it because they like to make commentary and they like to make fun of really big things, then maybe it's just supposed to be something that's like stress relieving or like, you know, kind of funny. Someone gets it because they're like, you know what, that was a really serious moment in time, but I like to look back and laugh and be like, you know what, we've moved on from that. So it really depends on the person and who purchases it, who collects it, and also the artist, because yeah.
It's super interesting.
It's a very fickle market. There's all sorts of, you can do whatever you want with art, honestly, and it's great.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do, and you knew that was cool.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
That's why you want me to be your artistic director, because you know this.
100%.
Anyway.
Other than, you know, I like arguing with you about Billie Eilish a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Should we open this rum that you got? I'm very excited to try it.
But also, I will just say that my audition for being artistic director is the happy birthday signs, because I put them up and they look amazing.
Yeah. Again, another reason why people need to watch the YouTube video.
Yes. That's what I said, visual effects. Also, just... I'm going to scooch in my chair a little bit just to get more comfortable.
Ryan will put the camera on me, and no one will have even seen that.
Okay, good.
And back to you. Go ahead.
Wonderful.
Ryan's really good at what he does.
I'm glad. We need to have a conversation about me meeting all of your people, because I was really upset that I hadn't met your one podcast guest, and you just need to like have a mixer so I can come meet all of your people, because I think they're awesome.
That might be the best idea I think you've ever given me out of a slew of really good ideas.
You should just invite them to your actual
podcast mixer?
Oh my goodness, yeah, at the end of the season. You should just have all of us come to a party and like hang out.
We could do it here too.
Yeah, we could do it here.
That might be the best idea you've ever given me.
You're welcome.
That's so smart.
See, this is why he has me as a friend, because I'm really intelligent like that.
I really like that though.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's really good.
It is good. I think it would be really important, because there's one person in particular that you've had on your podcast that I really want to meet. Yeah, I really want to meet Michael.
I listened
to his episode twice, and I was like, this guy is so intelligent, and I really, really, really want to meet him.
He's listening to you right now. You know that, right?
Oh my God.
Isn't that weird?
I hope he thinks that I'm intelligent as well.
I told him actually...
Does it smell good?
It smells really good. Yeah. I told him actually about your reaction to the podcast. Yeah. And
he made me think, which was I hesitate to say this, but not a lot of people really make me think. Sometimes I really just gloss over a lot, especially with podcasts. I have a very hard time listening to them.
Oh yeah.
But I really listened to his, and I was like, this is really good stuff. So.
He's a very humble guy. Like
he is.
He's weirdly humble for how the immensely successful and intelligent he is. He's very humble about what he does and who he is, and I think that's probably a large part of why he's so successful is because
I also
he's very humble.
His artsy vibe, which is definitely a thing. I gravitate towards people.
You're not making a gay joke, right? I just need to ask.
You idiot. No. He talked about his poetry, and I was like, that is wonderful. I love artists, because artists are so creative, and I myself like to think that I'm an artist, kind of, but I don't have I have the drive of someone who manages the artists, not so much the actual art. I don't have the patience to sit there and work through the kinks of like making this beautiful. I'm like, get it on the page, show up, let's get this done. Like,
he's also an interesting guy because what he does is not as artistic as like you would think after hearing him speak.
Okay. Well, but poetry is an art form in whatever form it takes. Poetry is one of the most difficult art forms even.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I kind of want to get back into poetry. And then I was like, who am I kidding? I hate poetry.
I was arguing with a poet last night, actually.
And you didn't even know it?
Okay. You know what? That's going to do it. Sorry, guys. I'm just kidding. Do you want to have some of this rum?
Yeah, did you pour it in here?
No, can you put ice in these? And then I'll pour the...
You talk your thing and I'll...
You want me to talk during the... Okay. Michael Clark is probably one of my top 10 favorite people. And I think he'd be really upset and embarrassed if I said that on the podcast. So thank God we're not recording. He's just a really interesting guy. And something that we said on that show that I think was very telling was... we got really deep into something, and I mentioned to him, I was like, we don't really like small talk. And he's like, yeah, like that's never been, what'd you do?
I don't know. Something in my face.
Oh my gosh. See, you don't fall into that golden ratio anymore.
Oh, shut up.
we talked about how we don't really small talk. We talk about serious things or we try and go in depth into certain things. And I think it's really telling of like who he is he likes to look into things and go deeper. And I've never had probably less than like an hour-long conversation with him. We always talk for a long time.
Well, to be fair, you and I do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
When we talk for a really long time.
When we were planning this episode out...
Oh, my gosh. Did we talk for... How long did we talk
2 hours.
for? Yeah, 2 hours easy.
And
I think 2 hours plus, really?
I called Lauren after...
Oh, my gosh, really? At like...
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not nice. Whoa, careful. Ooh. I called Lauren after and I was like, like I was just on the phone with Becky for like 2 hours. It was nuts. We were like talking about all this stuff and like trying to plan out the podcast. She's like, that's like a long time.
Yeah,
also,
it is a long time.
It's late. Here, I can pour that for you.
Okay.
How's your love life, Becky?
Oh my gosh, are we really going to talk about that?
Yeah.
Did you just...
I saved it, actually.
Okay. It is... It's really kind of uneventful right now.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I have some pretty important stuff going on in my life right now. I'm trying to get a master's degree so that I can move up in the world. I'm trying to work a full-time job so that I can pay for that master's degree. I'm working on, like my own stuff. And I've always been focused on getting myself ahead and like working on myself. I also have always been open to a relationship. My thing about relationships is that they have to work with your life, right? Like, you shouldn't have to go out of your way to make a relationship happen. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
It should be something that you can integrate in your life because it's relationships for me, both friendships and like romantic relationships are meant to make you better as a person. So they shouldn't take away from your day-to-day life. They should help enhance it. You got that?
Don't make fun of me.
Just saying. I can assist you if you need assistance.
I don't need assistance.
I have a lot of muscle in these arms.
That's just such a lie. No, everything that you're saying is like 100%. I talk to people and I've been the guy that like the relationship is your life.
Yes.
And it's so bad for you.
Yeah.
It's disgustingly bad.
I mean, I will say that I used to really want that. Actually, I will say this just point blank. I don't say this to many people and I don't think I've ever said it like fully out there, but I used to be the girl who thought, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, so I'm just going to go to college to find the guy that I'm going to marry, and then that'll be that. I'll be a stay-at-home mom.
What's the slang for that, isn't it? It's like the MRS degree,
Yeah,
right?
The Mrs. degree.
I had
the ring before spring. I really, when I was growing up, I really wanted that because honestly, when they asked us in 1st and 2nd grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? I didn't know. I was like, I have no clue. I would draw, a ballerina because the girl next to me was drawing a ballerina, and then the next day they asked, there'd be a boy next to me, he'd draw a rock star, so I drew a rock star. Like, I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was really, really like, I don't know. I guess I'll just find out when I get there. And for forever, people would ask me, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like, even still now, they're like, what do you want to do with that degree once you finish it? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. I'll let it take me where it takes me. Like, I'm a very firm believer of, like, I don't pigeonhole myself so that I can be open to any opportunity. And whenever I say that, I always go look back at my resume. Like, I've worked at some really cool places because I don't let myself be pigeonholed. I don't say I can only do this one thing. Like, I worked for MGM in Las Vegas. I worked on a cruise ship. I worked at multiple art galleries. I worked at Hershey Park. Like, you don't have to pigeonhole yourself. And I'm very much like, I took a really big negative there and turned it into a positive. I like,
You're good at that.
I don't need, because I realized over time that like, I can't just force myself into a relationship. I don't care to be like under someone's thumb. Like, I'm an oldest child. Like, I need to be in charge a little bit. So I'm not going to like wait for someone to show up and be like, okay, now you're mine and I'll take you to my house and take care of you. Like, that's not me. And for the longest time, I don't know why I thought it was, but I thought it was. And then I started in college and I started doing my internships and I started looking at opportunities and I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to do my thing, and whoever else comes along and wants to support me doing my thing, I'll support them doing their thing. But life isn't, you shouldn't waste it on someone else.
I think that's so important, and that's such a crazy thing that's like not as like thought about nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't think he listens to the show.
Well, say that a little bit. Say that in a different way, because I think that it is thought about. I think what I just said is thought about right now.
I think people are more able to think about themselves now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I think to a selfish degree, but I think some people are still looking for just their partner. And I think that's a sole focus. And
and it's not a bad thing. No, I had this conversation with some girls in my program the other day or a couple weeks ago.
Because finding like your partner that you're going to love and be with for the rest of your life is like not a small thing.
No, and if it's a priority.
It's not a light thing to take.
No. And if it's your priority, you have to make it a priority. And I think that that's a really interesting thing is that like people my cousin, who's only a year older than me, got married in August. And thankfully, my family has been very chill about it. But there were some joking questions about, like, well, when are you going to put stuff aside and go looking for your person?
You're like,
and I was
don't want to put stuff aside.
Honestly, now is not the time to put stuff aside. And on top of that, they're also now pregnant. Congratulations to them. I'm so excited to be, like, a kind of aunt.
That's awesome.
But they're married and pregnant. Like, they're going to have kids.
You're pre-aunt.
This is a different life now for them. Like, they wouldn't have gotten married if they're in a wonderful spot. They're very, very smart people, and they're ready to go. Like, I think they think that they're not ready, but I know that they're ready.
Yeah.
But I know that if I were put in that position like today, I would be ready as well. But I don't want to be. Like, I still have stuff that I want to do, and I would be more than happy to bring someone along on that journey with me, as long as they're willing to come along on that journey. They can't stop that journey. That journey is going to continue. No. And if they want to jump on the train, I'll have them. If they want to stop the train, they got to get off because the train ain't stopping.
Yeah, because why, when especially women now have so many opportunities to like actually do the things that they want to do, would they just be like, no, like, I'm just going to give everything up for a guy?
No.
And actually, like, my mom was the first example of that to me when I was growing up, because she kept working until she had my brother Justin.
Yeah.
And like was a badass. And my dad tells me all the time, he's like,
my mom is a badass too. I love my mom.
Your mom is definitely badass.
I loved that I didn't know that she had a PhD until I was like in my teens. And I was like, you have a PhD? And she's like, yeah, it's no big deal.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge deal.
It's a very big deal. My dad told me growing up, he's like, dude, I think we have it good now.
Yeah.
If I stayed at home and mom kept working, we'd have it really, really good. Because she was a badass and still is. And I think it's as many jokes as I make with her, because it's funny.
I don't like when you joke about your mom.
I know.
I think she's wonderful.
She is wonderful. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And when she dies, I'm probably going to kill myself.
You're the best thing. No, because you didn't.
Becky, why did you take us to this dark place?
I'm sorry. Continue.
I'm just kidding. I shouldn't say that. That's not right of me to say.
But I think one important thing to make note of is that I have had a conversation similar to this with my dad as well. I've talked about him so much tonight. I'm kind of happy about that. Although I wish I could talk about both my parents equally.
Whoa, Becky, equality.
I know,
Jesus.
equality. Okay, so this time both my mom and my dad had this conversation. Anyway, one of the things that we've talked about and that has kind of kept on my mind, because he's not wrong, is that women do, if you want to have children though, you have to get stuff done by a certain point before you have kids. And it's not to say that there's a deadline on your successfulness, because you can have kids and still continue being successful. I've seen plenty of women do it. My own family members, other people that I've used as role models and mentors who have had children and have continued to do really, really amazing things. Like my aunt is definitely one of them. She's so cool. But one of the things that you have to remember is that for women, it's a little bit more of a deadline. So also, by the way, just side note, I'm the first woman you've had on this season, so that's fun.
How many episodes have we done?
This is the 5th episode, I think.
No, incorrect.
1, 2, 3,
Daniel,
4.
Michael, Terrence, you're number 4.
No, because you have one in December. I'm January.
I do have one in December.
So I'm 5. I'm episode 5 of season 5, so it's very important. Correct. I'm the first woman. I am correct. I'm most of the time I am correct, more correct than Ben is.
Well, last season was very female focused. This season.
Okay, I'll give you that. But anyway,
I like that you're like calling me out on my diversity quotas. Becky, I had 2 black guys on so far, okay?
I know. I'm
working on it.
This is a totally different conversation that I'm not going to bring up right now because we can have it later. But apparently I'm very good at finding diverse situations. Anyway, but one of the important things to remember is that, like, as a woman, it's not like you have to hear the clock ticking the whole time, but you're aware of the fact that
you do need to get things done sooner, though.
If you want to get to a certain point, or if you want, so like say you have a finish line in mind. That finish line can be more than one thing, but say you have a finish line. You need to get to a certain benchmark at least before you have kids to get to that finish line still. So like if you know, okay, so at the end of, I want to get up to being, for myself, I want to end up being a museum director. I know that if I find the person that's meant for me and I decide that, and we get married and it's time to have kids and I'm still not a museum director, I at least need to be within that museum that I want to be a part of and pretty high up before that happens. Otherwise, it's not going to happen at that museum. So it's kind of like it's just like you have to time it right, and you can never time things right in life. You can never plan. So it's like a get as far as you can while you can. And if for myself, I'm like, I want to find a partner who can help me get there.
Yeah.
And who isn't going to hold me back and be like, no, don't even look at that finish line anymore. Your finish line is children.
Time to have kids.
I don't want that. Like, that's not for me.
I think men feel the finish line in terms of having children, but nowhere near the amount as women do, because women...
Having children for them is a water break. It's not a finish line.
Okay, I like that. That's a good way to say that.
Yeah.
Because obviously dads need to be very involved, and they should be very involved.
Very
important
that
they're very involved.
Yeah, because
Agreed.
They helped. This 50-50. Just saying.
Yes, agreed. But it's not as much of a stopping point because most dads will not become stay-at-home dads. It's usually
that's true.
The woman. Do you feel like
yeah,
in terms of gender roles,
yeah,
we can get to a place where women are still able to pursue their dreams and do what they want to do, but also able to help care for the children? Where do you see this is probably a little controversial, but in terms of like motherhood and fatherhood, like where do you see kind of gender roles going? Do you see like men staying at home much more often in the next decade? Do you see women maybe starting to stay home more often?
Yeah.
Because both people want to have a career and want to be successful because your happiness does matter.
Yeah, everyone's happiness matters.
Yes.
But I think an important thing to look at is something that you said earlier, which is something that I've talked about with my colleagues in grad school, is that some people just want that stay-at-home life, which is great. And so that can be, now we've gotten to the point where that can be a guy or a girl. That can be a man or a woman who stays at home and takes care of the children. So you see
it not necessarily as dependent on your gender. Yeah. It's just like a general...
No, I think that it can be either. And it can be neither. Yeah. And it can't be both, really, unless you're working from home.
It'd be so nice if it could be both.
It would be so nice.
It'd solve all the world's problems if parents could stay home.
You gotta have a lot of money if you want to do that. But no, like it can be one or the other, or it can be neither, I think, honestly, as well. I think that's a little bit hard when your kids are growing up and you have to have family. To be honest, you have to have family around you if you want to be neither.
Also, think about how much the person that does decide to work, whether they're a woman or a man, misses out on.
Yeah.
That's like one of my biggest fears.
I don't want to talk about that too much, but that's definitely a thing that contributed to my childhood. Like, I'm kind of lucky, and I think this is the upside of me staying home after school, is that I kind of get to like... I get to know my parents a little bit better, which has been amazing, and I loved it. How nice is that? It's been awesome.
I spent 20 minutes with my dad the other day, and I was like, this guy's actually kind of cool.
Well, yeah, because your personality comes from both of them, so hanging out with them is like so much fun because you're like...
It's near Qatar.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Okay, cool. But yeah.
You know what, Becky?
Yeah.
Let's break this down.
Okay.
I think everybody should move back home after college.
No. I really don't think so.
Okay, but in all fairness,
is that
I don't have to pay rent.
No. But you have to have the ambition because you should only move home if you know you can move out. Yeah,
you can't stay. Your cutoff is 4 or 5 years. It's like a second college.
Yes.
But I will say, and I don't want to get emotional.
We're coming up on the end of it.
Yeah, we are. I don't want to get emotional about it, but being able to live at home and get the extra
Has
time.
been such a gift.
Get the extra time with my brothers and my parents has been like profoundly important in my life in ways that I never knew possible.
Yes.
And almost the entire reason why I'm home is because of COVID.
Yeah.
Because I moved out, I lived at home, and I just stayed.
Yeah, exactly.
And now
Me
I'm
too.
hopefully next year getting a house and moving out. But and while that's like my biggest life goal is to like own my own house next year, right? Before I turn 26.
Right.
Before the next podcast we do.
I hope we're doing the next one in your home. I hit the mic again. I'm so sorry.
In the new house?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That means you have to hold on to all of our accessories here. Our birthday.
That's true.
Our
We need to
pins
save
and
them.
our tiaras.
We should sell some, maybe. If like one of us blows up, like in the next year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
To afford the new house. Sorry.
You're going to do a hype house? Because you said you wanted all of us to come live with you. So, like, is it going to become, like, an influencer house?
I don't want an influencer house.
Okay.
I want like I have ambitions and want to do more with my life, but I'm not there yet house.
Oh, okay.
If somebody's successful already at being an influencer, I don't want them in my home.
Oh, okay. So I'm right out. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Very full of herself, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. Again,
goodness.
don't want to get emotional, but
Yeah.
shit.
Don't get emotional.
I know, I'm
Is
trying
it
not
make
to.
Ben cry? Becky's not going to cry.
No.
Is Ben going to cry?
I've never cried on the podcast before. I've come close.
Can I make it a first?
You're the devil. The time that I've gotten to spend with Nathan and Brendan in particular at home, like, gets to me real deeply.
Yeah.
Brendan last night came into my room. He has school the next day. He's not supposed to be in there. And he comes in with his Xbox and he's like, I can play Fortnite with you for like an hour, but like mom can't know and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like this ritual.
Yeah.
And it's become like so important to me.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you play Fortnite like you're a child. And
No,
I'm like,
but it's like a bonding moment. I have the same thing with my youngest brother.
it's been so nice.
Yeah.
Or like Nathan drove us tonight. Shout out Nathan.
Shout out Nathan.
Like,
Thank you, Nathan, for driving us.
Nathan and I this was like, I don't want to expose him here, but I will.
Don't.
No, just a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
When I came out about having Tourette's,
Yeah.
he texted me and he felt guilty about some things.
Mm-hmm.
And I expressed to him that a lot of family members felt guilty. And I expressed to him that he shouldn't feel guilty. Something I hid from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It was my thing, whatever. But I, from that moment on, understood that he's a deeply caring individual, but he doesn't always show it outwardly.
Sure, yeah.
And the time that I've gotten to spend with him and getting to know him, there's like these little moments. Like, again, it's like these 20-minute moments.
Yeah.
Like I have with my dad or I have with Brendan or I have with Nathan where I just get to know them really well. And like Nathan will be downstairs like working on his 3D printer, like recalibrating, doing things that are so complicated that my tiny brain would explode if I tried to even comprehend what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'll just like be talking to him and like messing with him a little bit. And I get to know him to a point where I'm like, you are so cool.
Yeah.
You're so cool. I'm so lucky to have you in my life. And I'm immensely grateful that my parents have allowed me to stay with them this long.
Yeah.
To where I could have those experiences and save for a house.
Yeah.
Which either one would be gone if I didn't live at home.
If you had to live. Yeah, exactly. No, it's a blessing. It's a blessing in disguise because a lot of people look down on it, but I think that both of us have seen the benefits of it because, again, both of us are the oldest of 4. It's a pretty significant age difference between us and our youngest siblings because I have 7. I think you have 8, right?
8. Yeah.
So, like, if we hadn't have come home, we wouldn't have really been part of their lives because, like, we're part of their growing up lives, but, like, not a part of their teenage lives. And it's been a blessing for me personally to be able to see, like, go to my brother's lacrosse games and, like, see him play in marching band.
Tommy.
And I know I love Tommy.
I love Tommy.
But he is a senior this year, so it's a really big deal. And I've gotten to help him with like college essays, which is huge.
Wow.
And we've talked about college. I think I'm not going to take credit for anything that goes on with this process because I didn't go on any of the tours with him or really like super help with the essays. But like we had, before he really started looking at them, like we had a couple of conversations about like, what do you want from your college? Like what areas are you looking at? Like location-wise in the country, like what kind of city? Do you want to be in a city? Do you want to not be in a city? How many places do you want to apply to? Like, do you want somewhere? Do you know what you want to do? Is it, and like, those are questions that like, no one asked me. And I went in totally blindsided. I was like, I'm going in undecided and I'm just going to try to find a place that can fit all of the things that I think I want to do. And instead, he's got like the supports. I also helped Tommy learn how to drive, which was like huge for me. Like I feel very involved in like what he did and just like his growing up. And like if I had stayed in DC or if I had gone somewhere else like right after COVID, I wouldn't have had that. And I'm so grateful and thankful that I had that because it just makes me feel like a better big sister, but it also connects me to him. And then our game was always Super Smash Bros, which was awesome. We still play it when we're all together for Christmas. It's my favorite game. But
my brothers and I play this really old version of COD, Call of Duty, with a gun game.
I'm not an idiot. I know what it is.
And we play that
much.
every time we're all in the house, and it's like those.
It's like the most epic moments, right? Like all four of you just like playing against each other. We do that with Smash Bros.
You know what? I think the younger ones don't maybe have the same understanding as we do as the oldest.
Yeah.
But it's like
I don't think they see it in total yet, but they will.
Those moments make my whole year.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
wow.
The impact.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
To change the subject.
How
do you feel about throwing food on
oh my
art?
Goodness. I know. I was like watching our time and I was like, are we going to get to this?
I've been waiting to talk to you about tomato soup.
I know.
And what was the other one? Mashed potatoes.
Yeah. Did you see the two other ones afterwards? Boom.
The floor is yours.
Okay.
Where's the cork? Hold the cork, please.
Okay.
Good Lord.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, the art history expert on throwing food on art.
Okay, I've got to take I think I need to take the tiara off.
I think it's time.
It's hurting.
My head's starting to hurt.
And I need to be serious about this. So it's now time for professional Becky.
But we're intoxicated, so it's going to be a little challenging.
No. Okay.
Quick side note. This is going to be on the internet like forever. Do you think when you're like
you
wildly...
You literally said that because you knew that was what I was nervous about today.
I would never say that to you because I would make you nervous. Do you think when you're wildly successful and you're running like 25 art galleries and
this is coming down.
I'm
just kidding.
You're jackass. You're by far the most successful out of all of our friends, and I was proven right on that night that you recalled incorrectly.
You were proven wrong.
No. On that night, I recalled incorrectly. Do you feel like you're gonna think about this episode going out?
I think I will, because honestly, I've thought about the one where I was just in an interview, no face, for like your TikTok one. I have thought about that one a couple of times after making it, and I think about my own as well. I don't do video for my own, and I've considered it, but honestly, it kind of makes me a little bit nervous because it's kind of like I don't want it to be preserved forever, and I'm kind of uncomfortable with everyone putting my face with a name like a podcast, but you know. It is what it is, and it's the way that the world works right now, so I'm not mad about it. Makes me a little nervous, but it's okay. But do you want to move back to the art, the food and the art? Yeah.
Please do.
Okay. So give you a little background for our listeners at home, because Ben knows. So I'll talk a little bit about the first instance, and we'll go on from there. But so basically what happened was in the UK, there were two young women who are climate activists who decided to throw tomato soup on a Vincent van Gogh painting.
I think one of them is they, them, though.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
Okay.
I don't like how you misgendered them there.
Well, listen. Leave me alone.
Okay.
Anyway, so both of them, sorry, that sounded really bad. Anyway. They threw the tomato soup at the painting, and then they glued themselves to the wall.
What painting was it again?
It's Sunflowers by Vincent van Gogh. So it's a very rare painting. It's one of his most popular ones. It's a really big deal. I'll immediately follow that up with the information that was not easily given to me as an art person who was very upset about the fact that they could have damaged a Vincent van Gogh. There was glass in front of it, so they didn't damage it. They just damaged the frame.
Right.
And they did have to pay, and they do have to pay for the restoration of the frame.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't remember, but it's in the thousands.
I didn't know that they were being held accountable for that.
Yes, they are.
Were they arrested for that?
I don't think they were. I'll get on to the second one.
Okay.
The second one, I think they definitely were. But anyway, that one, the two women, because I'll say women because I don't know how, the two people, they also recorded something before they did it where they talked about, so their whole purpose was that they are climate change activists. And the reason that they're doing this is to bring attention. There's a lot of big oil money that does go into the funding of the arts. It's kind of under the table, but it is true. They're not wrong in that sense. But they did this to get kind of the attention of those people who fund the art museums and fund the purchase of artworks. And kind of show them, like, you know, it's not about let's stop looking at the pretty things. Let's look at the bad things and let's start some change.
£2,000.
Yeah. That's what I thought. For the frame.
Yeah.
You
sure you don't have COVID?
I'm positive.
This rum is really good.
Good.
Please continue.
But so they give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're gonna cut that cough, so give me 1 second to record.
We're not gonna cut the cough. We don't cut anything. If you're an avid listener to the show, by the way, this is the time for you to like regather your thoughts as I stall for you.
Okay.
If you're an avid listener to the show, we had slurring the words. We had an FBI agent on right before this, and behind the scenes, I did tell him, because of the sensitive nature of what we might be talking about, if there's anything that you mention or that you would like removed, we will remove that. We do not edit regular shows, but would just like you to know that in case something pops up. Nothing ended up coming up, which was good. But fun fact, on the way home from that podcast, he did get hit by another car.
Oh, yeah, you told me
on his way
that.
home.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting.
I'm glad we're driving home together tonight so I don't get hit by a car, because bad luck.
I should also mention, Becky and I have been enjoying some amazing champagne and some incredible rum that I won't name because they'll probably sue me.
Oh my gosh, Ben.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. So we do have
but it is from Pennsylvania, which is...
It is from Pennsylvania. So we do have a ride home this evening.
We do have a ride home.
We will not be driving.
No, we will not be driving.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to my story.
This is a perfect stall for you. Go ahead.
Thank you. But basically, they weren't entirely wrong in what they did. But Ben and I, after the first one, we had discussed how they could have done it a lot better. And we talked a little bit about it, and I'll get into what we said after we talk about the second one. But then shortly after, the people threw tomato soup on the Van Gogh. There were two more women who threw mashed potatoes at a Whistler, I believe, in Germany.
Was there gravy with the mashed potatoes?
There was not gravy with the mashed potatoes.
Can't get behind it then.
They, however, I stand behind a little bit less because they were much more inflammatory with what they were saying when they glued themselves to the wall. The problem with both of these and all of the other attacks that happen afterwards, which I struggle to call attacks because I don't think that they're 100% wrong in their message. I think that they could have done a better job of getting that message across. But all of them kind of serve the point of it's just important. It is important to be aware of the climate change that's going on right now. It's not happening. There is climate change. It is warmer already this winter than it is typically. And, you know, I once had a science teacher tell me that it's natural, but this is not 100% natural. I won't go super into that.
No, but I think
it is a thing.
Not to like interrupt your monologue because I like it,
Thank you.
It's important to understand there are scientifically proven natural cycles that the Earth goes through of cooling and warming.
It
does. However,
this one is a little bit extreme.
We are absolutely affecting the climate change currently.
Yeah.
I think the discrepancy should be, maybe not is on all sides of everything, but the discrepancy should be about how much we are causing
Yes.
the difference in the change,
Yeah.
not necessarily if we are causing it or not. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty scientifically proven that we are causing change.
Yes.
The question is, are we causing all of it,
Or part of it.
or are we causing 100% of it, 1% of it, or 50% of it?
Yeah.
And I think most people, generally speaking, fall between the 50% to,
Yeah. They fall around the
70% range.
50%.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot of stuff that we could be doing, and I think that just in general, this movement will kind of move us towards some better practices. I think across the board, there's best practices for helping with climate change, but we're talking about the art. So we're going to go back to what Ben and I talked about, which I think is a really important thing, which is that looking at these throwing food at works of art is really interesting because there's always kind of been an aspect of making food into art in recent art history, which is really fascinating.
Banana at Art Basel.
The banana at Art Basel and all sorts of other things.
I would like to own that banana. I really would.
Well, I think it's been eaten at this point, so
that's right.
Sucks to suck. But one of the important things is that it kind of becomes performance art in its own right, which I think is really fascinating, and I think is very cool.
Didn't think about that. Glad I had you on the podcast.
Yeah, it kind of becomes performance art, which I don't think that these people are thinking, but a lot of contemporary art and a lot of contemporary performance art is much more about the message that they're getting across than the actual act itself. And that was one of the first things to pop in my mind when they did that was, first of all, the rage, because I was like, I don't know if there's glass in front of these works of art or not. And if they're damaged for good, I'm not happy about this.
Right.
But everything that people threw stuff at, they did their research ahead of time and made sure there was glass in front of it. They really just wrecked the frame, and then they have to pay to restore the frame. And
okay, wait.
Yeah.
Do you think they knew that? You're
the first one
convinced
they
that
did. The
you're
first one they
convinced
said that they did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the first one.
The first one they said they did. The second one I'm not so sure. The third and the fourth they also kind of said that they knew.
Because I'm not against giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I'm very upset about what happened, but I like to stay neutral in a lot of things. And I'm not against giving them the benefit of the doubt of understanding that what we're doing will damage a frame, which is not necessarily
it's
directly important to the work of art.
Yeah. But yeah. So
and none of them have actually damaged real works of art other than the frame, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the upside. But the negative thing is the second one. So the second one is the one that really grinds my gears, if I can use that phrase. Thank you.
It's actually banned on this podcast.
Oh, wow. Okay. But the second one really got to me because one of the things that they said was that because of climate change, we're not going to have enough food to feed people. Which I feel like is really, really hypocritical because they threw food at a painting. The food that could have been given to many of the people that they're talking about not being able to eat or being homeless or whatever.
So Becky and I actually came up with...
I know, I was going to talk about this.
I'm going to let you say it, but
Okay.
I'd like to preface it. Becky and I talked about this at length.
Yes.
In terms
and you technically
of,
came up with the idea.
Well, it was a collaboration. Yeah. Becky and I talked about this at length in terms of what they could have done to be much more impactful, probably actually get more news coverage than what they did initially, and also to do a good thing at the same time. So, Becky, what did we come up with? Go ahead.
Okay, so I will say it's mostly Ben, but a little bit myself finessing. But basically what we said was that if the biggest issue there is that there's homelessness and that homeless people even now don't have regular income or regular sources of food.
Food security.
Yeah, food security is what they should have done is they should have provided like a soup drive, or they should have had food outside of the museum and then paid for entrance, or however the people get inside the museum, get these homeless people to give them food and give them food to enjoy while they walked around the museum, or even before they entered the museum. So you get this food and you also get admission into the museum. In doing so, you help the people that you're protesting for, but you also give them access to a resource that maybe they don't always have access to. And you can let them, have a day where they're inside. So if it's hot outside, they have AC. If it's cold outside, they have heat. They can spend the day inside the museum looking at art. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what they want to do, but they have that. Then they have a location for the day where they can be safe and they can know that they're safe. And then on top of that, it actually does force the people who are visiting the museum that day to come to terms with it and to kind of see that this is a reality, that a lot of people in their city or the town that they're visiting or whatever it is are experiencing homelessness. And I think that doing things like that, where it really just took like 5 minutes, and Ben and I had come up with this idea, it really doesn't take that much, and it would have a bigger effect. It may get lost in the media because it's not super, profound or controversial or like aggressive, but I feel like it's more beneficial in the long run. Like, you're helping out people who are homeless. You are pushing that into the faces of the people who are in the museum that day and anyone who reads the story on media afterwards.
And not wasting food that
you're
talking about.
Food. Yeah.
It's just very ironic to talk about food insecurity and then waste food.
Yeah, and then throw food at a painting. Yeah.
I think the dichotomy too.
Oh, big word.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. The dichotomy of seeing a homeless person who has nothing to the point where they don't have shelter, clothing, or food security in front of something like a Van Gogh.
That's thousands and thousands of dollars, yeah.
Right, to the point of millions of dollars, potentially. Realistically, much better photo op. The fact that, too, you could potentially run a pop-up soup kitchen or food drive inside of the Louvre or one of these other very significant art galleries in front of millions of dollars worth of artwork, while also doing a good thing, feeding the local homeless population who has no access to this sort of thing because they don't have access to regular food or shelter or clothing. So we're going to give them access to, thank you for the speaking cork,
you're welcome,
to these fine works of art that probably they've only seen on social media, despite the fact that they live very, very close to it, right? You're doing something good, you're getting a better dichotomy, and I think it would be talked about more.
Yeah.
I'd actually like to expand this idea to the point where
Ben and Becky for president and vice president for 20-something.
As long as you're president and I'm vice.
I wanted you to be president and me to be vice.
I'm pretty ready for a female president. Okay. I think...
I once had someone tell me that I'd be a really great first lady, and I said, nuh-uh, I'd be the president. Thank you very much.
That's kind of an insulting...
and then he said, no, you're right. And I said, good.
There you go. It's kind of an insulting thing to tell somebody you'd be a great first lady, because it's like, you'd be a great person with 2% of the power.
I don't actually take it as an insult, because I think...
That's good. Okay.
Behind every powerful man is an even more powerful woman who puts that man in his place.
Or man.
Yeah, okay,
2022.
Yes. Okay, sorry, yes. But I don't take offense at that, because I think that it was actually a good... Because then, okay, also as the first lady, I wouldn't have to worry about the actual political stuff and the war stuff and all that stuff. I could literally just focus on arts education and I would be happy, so it's fine.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm actually... This is like a 180.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm actually really, really excited for the possibility of a female president.
I know, me too, actually. I mean, it needs to be the right person, but I would be really excited for it.
That's like my exact line. I'm not someone that's like diversity or feminism for the sake of either one, but I understand the importance of both of those things. And I think it'd be really, really cool to have a female president, because we've never done that before. And so it's kind of like, I feel like that would be a cool direction for the United States. I'm really ready for it. I like Tulsi Gabbard. She's independent right now.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like her. That's fair. But I would really like to see a female president. You know what would be really cool
to have that in our lifetime.
For a female to be nominated as, this is our nominee of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party for 2024, and I could actually vote for a woman for president for the first time. Because we've had other ones, like Carly Fiorina, who I really like, that's spoken at Catholic University before and done some other things, and I think she's great. I haven't met her yet. I'd love to meet her. But
shout out, she's going to be on the next one.
Shout out. I mean,
she's actually going to be the February guest.
I haven't reached out to her yet. The February guest is actually an astronaut, which is kind of cool, but...
Oh, okay.
I probably shouldn't tease that yet.
Cooler than me.
No, not at all.
Don't say that. An astronaut is cooler than me. Besides, anyway, keep going.
I would just really like to be able to vote for a woman.
Yeah.
And it's not like a diversity thing. It's like just a,
You know what I would
hey
love?
guys, we've really screwed up
Yeah.
a lot of terms by just electing really old white guys. Could we maybe for a second
first of
take a
all-
chance on a woman just for once?
The first thing that needs to happen, though, is the boomers need to let go of control. After they let go of
Oh, yeah.
control, then all sorts of new people are going to pour in. Also, imagine the day when we have 2 women candidates running against each other. Like, how great would that be?
See,
I
that gets
wish.
me excited. I would love to vote for Tulsi Gabbard as an independent or a
Mm-hmm.
libertarian over like some other like Republican or Democrat candidate
Yeah.
and be like, hey guys, like the libertarian vote can win and also it's a woman. Like that would just be
like
cool.
imagine. Yeah, it would just be cool to throw everything to chaos.
No. Whoa. That's the most anti-feminism thing
Not
I've ever heard.
chaos, but like overthrow the like perceived way that things have to work.
The norm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean by chaos.
Yeah.
Because if anything's beyond the norm, most people think it's chaos, which is not true.
Carly Fiorina is pretty smart. She's run for president twice. I heard her speak at Catholic University.
Yeah.
I met Marco Rubio at Catholic.
Yeah, I remember when he came to campus.
It's interesting.
I did not go.
He's
Not because I didn't want to, but because I think I wasn't invited. It's not fully part of the business school. I keep doing that. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You're fine. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I wanted him for president because I felt like he was like a lot nicer than Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he would have done. I would have much rather voted for somebody like Carly Fiorina.
Mm-hmm. I need you to stop talking about politics because I don't want to talk about politics.
Oh no, it's okay. It'll be fine.
I
have to pee really bad,
I know,
too.
so do I.
Do you wanna have like a final thought and like plug your thing and then we can go pee? Do you wanna do that?
Ben, I really hate that you just said that.
I know, but
because
people understand. We've been recording
we have
for
literally more than 2 hours.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
I apologize to everyone. I hope that this was thrilling
apologize.
enough. No, I hope it was thrilling enough that you listened to the whole thing.
Don't be nice to them.
I want to be nice to them. Listen, this is how I have more listeners. Because I'm nice to my audience.
TOTs listeners, I'm so sorry that Becky's this rude to you. I just
Oh my
really
goodness.
apologize.
Are you really sure you want to have me back every year?
100%.
Oh,
This
okay.
was one of the most fun podcasts I've ever done.
I'm glad.
Becky, where can people find you? In your brilliance and your intelligence and your awesome insights, where can people find you?
Thank you.
Plug it.
Okay, so my blog and the Facebook page are both under the name Art History Perspectives. Art History Perspectives.
We'll put it in the show notes too, so it's
Okay,
easy.
cool. The Instagram for the podcast and for the blog is _perspectives, and then the podcast is on any platform that you listen to podcasts on. It is Art History Perspectives Before You Go. Again, hopefully season 1. Well, no, season 1 is concluded at this point. All of the episodes will have been posted by the time this comes out, and then season 2 is on its way. It will hopefully be starting.
So you guys have some
1st of
catching up to
February.
do.
Yeah, go listen to the podcast.
I love it.
You can also try to follow me on Instagram, but I can't promise that I'll let you because it's private.
Whoa, private Insta. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm happy that you're here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This has been cool because you got your 5 minutes on a TikTok episode that was a throwaway. It was terrible. And then I ended up changing my complete view on TikTok and then back to
Yeah, now you're addicted. Or now you're not watching it at all.
I'm not on it anymore, but I was.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Closing out the episode.
this was awesome.
was
I'm
awesome.
glad that you came here.
I had so much fun.
This was cool.
This was cool.
I like this. We're gonna do this every year.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Ben.
Happy birthday.
Why are
That was
you shaking
awesome.
my hand?
I don't know. I don't have anything else.
High
High five. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, if you want to deal with my ridiculousness, you can find us at totspodcast.com. Pay a lot of money for that domain, so please visit
Oh
us
my
there.
gosh.
On Instagram and TikTok at TOTScast. You can find all of our updates as well as clips of Becky and I getting ridiculous. So I appreciate that. Please listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts.
Wow.
Our big 3. Hopefully we can beat Becky next year. We'll see.
Never.
Thank you guys so much for listening. You make my dream possible to live within.
You make Ben's birthday happy.
You do. You guys are my biggest birthday guest and my biggest birthday contributor. Your present is listening to the podcast and commenting, sharing, all that stuff. So thank you guys so much. And I'll see you guys next time. We'll see you in February.
Yeah.
Hopefully for that astronaut interview.
Amazing.
Thank you guys so much. NASA, please don't get rid of me. I love you. Good night.